Well, hello there, and welcome to SkyTour Livestream for this last day of February, the 28th. I hope you're doing all right. I have with me, of course, Daryl Mason. Hey there, Daryl. How are you?
Hello, Mark. I'm good, thanks. How are you?
Just fine, thanks.
Hello, everybody.
Yeah, I want to... Chris Cilia is here. He's here from Space Coast of Florida. How you doing, Chris? Thank you for letting us know how you found us.
Space Coast.
Yeah, no, it's Space Ghost.
Oh.
Remember the song to Space Ghost? It was actually kind of funny. It was like...
Oh,
yeah. With Jace and Blip. Whatever. Space Ghost. It was a fun show. I never missed it.
Oh, yeah, me neither. That was my favorite back in the day. And
Go course, Invisible.
When I grew up, I liked Space Ghost Coast to Coast.
Well, yeah, Space Ghost Coast to Coast was, I remember that, yeah. I didn't like that so much because it was like a talk show. But they did show cartoons, you know.
Well, that was sort of the whole point of the show. It was a talk show.
Yes.
I had funny guests on, and,
yeah.
You know, the Space Ghost and Zorak and Moltar, they kind of did their running shtick, and
yep.
It was funny. And
Space Ghost.
Yeah. They never talked about the twins. It was sort of some sort of dark secret.
Mm-hmm.
They threw hints about them a couple of times, but
yeah. Well, you know.
Fun show.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. I want to welcome Chris again and Tim F. And we have Marcin Johansson's here. Hey, Marcin. And, of course, we have Donald Kunzer. And there goes a Starlink satellite. You just saw your first satellite for the evening right there, folks. And telescope is coming up to temperature. Currently, I'm looking at the telescope. It's actually... thermal controls. It doesn't look like the thermal controls are doing what they're supposed to be doing. Oh, no wonder. For some reason, the cooler was off. I'm going to turn on the cooler now. The cooler is supposed to be on. So it's on, and now down here, you'll watch the temperature drop. It's 22.1 Celsius right now on the sensor, and our target is minus 10 degrees Celsius. So... now you'll notice that the temperature is going to drop here. It's 21.8, and it'll continue on down. Okay, Donald Kunzer says Space Ghost Coast to Coast was originally a children's show called Ghost Planet. Then things got weird. That's right. You know what I thought was funny? The sound that they made when they went invisible. Remember, they pressed the invisibility button and they went...
Yeah.
And we go invisible. That sound always like, how'd they make that sound? You know, it's like so cool. It might have just been a guy going... you know, with a little effect on it.
Yeah. Oh, that was a fun show.
Yeah.
That was hard to believe that was so long ago. God, that was around 1995 and before, I think.
Yeah. Do you remember the guy that hosted the show, right? He came out dressed as Space Ghost, right?
Yes.
And he was fat. He was actually overweight, which I think made it the funniest. That made it funny, which is why Donald Kunzer said it was, you know, kind of, you know, went weird or something. Yeah, and yeah. Marcin says it was like an electronic wine. It was like, and then Donald Kunzer says it was like a harmonica. And that was kind of cool. I've actually weirdly tried to reproduce that sound, and I just can't do it. All right, temperature is 9.4 Celsius. Yeah.
That may have been one particular episode. I forget. Plus, Space Ghost had an evil twin, if you remember right. It was Tad Ghostal and Chad Ghostal, if I remember correctly.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I guess, did they both have a Phantom Cruiser?
No, the evil one was he would masquerade as
Oh,
Space Ghost sometimes.
okay.
I think it was Tad and Chad, if I remember
All
correctly.
right. Okay. Our camera is at 5.3 Celsius on its way to -10, so we're just waiting for the camera to cool. And this is just a random star field. But maybe this would be a kind of a fun place to showcase a new tool that we have here.
Uh-oh.
This is, let's find out if it'll do it. This is a tool called Deep Sky Annotation. And what it does is it plate solves this location in the sky. And then what it does is it actually then will go through and annotate the image with certain stars and whatever objects are in there, and then tell you nearby objects. So we're doing that plate solve right now. And this is the dialog box for that. This is a new feature that we just added to the telescope actually this afternoon, or this morning. I can't remember when. Okay, it says it couldn't find... I just got to increase some data here. This says the plate solve failed. That's fine. That's usually because I didn't wait for the sensor to come up to temperature. And we're getting kind of like a weird look here. So 350,000 milliseconds, which is 1 second. So let's actually go to something. I'm just going steering.
Did you have a chance to look at that video I sent you about Dylan O'Donnell did a deep dive on the Horsehead and Orion?
Yeah, you showed me that. I did not look at it yet.
Oh, you ought to watch that.
I didn't have time. I was fixing a stove today, a pellet stove.
He uses PixInsight, which I gather is a rather expensive program. But he zoomed in on the Horsehead, and he did a plate solve thing, sort of like what you're doing.
Yep.
And I believe it was using Gaia data.
Okay.
Whatever the satellite that is out measuring stellar positions now.
Okay.
And it popped up. His Horsehead image was taken with a Celestron C11, I believe, and it was zoomed in pretty close on the Horsehead.
Okay.
And there were a ton of stars in the field, and it identified every single star in the field.
Oh, very cool.
Also gave its parallax and its magnitude and all sorts of things.
Mm-hmm.
It's an interesting video. He's kind of a jerk sometimes, I think, but so it goes.
Yeah. Marston asked the questions. A pellet stove, would you recommend that over electric or natural gas heat? Well, you need electricity for it to run, and natural gas heat, I think you need electricity possibly to do a piezo igniter in a furnace. But a pellet stove is actually quite efficient. And the one I have puts out 55,000 BTUs. British thermal units is what that stands for. It's actually the biggest one that this Greenfire makes, the name of the company. And it's a pretty neat stove. Let me just, first of all, change my rate here.
How expensive is the fuel?
Well, pellets, they're actually not that bad. They're like $6 for a 40-pound bag. The 40-pound bag will last you, depending on the heating day, you might... they're actually much less than that. It's like $2.99 a bag if you buy them by the ton. So they'll last you... one pellet bag will be a day. And you go through like 2 tons, 3 tons in the winter. And when you buy them by the ton, you get lower and lower pricing.
Sure.
Hey, Daisy and Zoe. So it's pretty cool.
Yeah. My sister and her husband that lived up in the high country here, they were up in ski country in Summit County.
Okay.
Lived near Breckenridge. They built a solar envelope home back in
Okay.
41 years ago. And they had to put in baseboard heating to meet county code at the time,
All
but
right.
they never used it. And their main source of heat was they put in a good Vermont Castings wood stove.
Oh yeah.
And that house was so efficient that even up at over 9,000 feet elevation and tons of snow, they
Yeah.
were burning about 1/3 of a cord of wood per winter.
That's a very efficient house.
Yeah, and their neighbors
Yeah.
with conventional homes and wood stove heating, they were burning 5-6 cords a winter.
Wow. All right, let's try this again. I think our temperature on the sensor has dropped, so our star images are probably a little more. Why is it saying it's solved? It failed. This is a new feature, by the way. I got it to work earlier today, just playing with it a little bit. But let me just try a standard plate solve anyway. Just a second. This is actually Rigel right now we're looking at, so we'll just try a conventional plate solve without the annotation side and see what happens. Okay, I gotta read this message. Okay, it says too few stars. Well, interesting that it says that. Let's try doing this. Let's try doing a 3-second exposure and see what it says. All right. I'm tuning a new feature, guys. That's what I'm doing while you're here. All right, so let's do this now. Do a conventional plate solve, because that I know works fine. Let's see what happens. Look at that. Something went wrong. Error was plate solving failed. Uh-oh. Okay, so something happened in there. I'll figure that out. That's all. I will figure it out. I could go look at my settings anyway and see what's in there.
Well, a really bright star like that wouldn't overwhelm the plate solve, would it?
No, it has an instant failure, so it's not even trying to solve.
Oh.
So it's finding an error somewhere. Let's go make sure that my files are in here. Okay, so it found the all-sky plate solver, and it found the ASTAP. Okay. So if I click one...
Izabela's here.
Hi, Izabela.
Hi, Izabela.
Okay, it doesn't say why, though. Yeah, it's like almost a... I might have to reinstall something to get this to work again.
Huh.
All right, well...
It was working when you showed me that last night, wasn't it?
Yes, so...
Yeah.
But I will figure that out. This is a new version of this program, so that's why. Everything else seems to work, though. So let's go. All right, but people are not here to see this. They're here to see some cool stuff. So let's go into our wonderful and beautiful planetarium setup. Because right next to Rigel, we have this beautiful nebula, the Witch Head. And I'm thinking maybe what we want to do is go and just do a mosaic of the Witch Head. And just come down here and do this mosaic. I think that'd be kind of cool.
Yeah.
What do you think? Think that'd be pretty cool? Yeah, I do. That'd be a good start. So let's try that. Telescope won't move that much unless it goes to a star. If it goes to any star at all here, it's probably going to go to Bellatrix. It seems to use Bellatrix a lot for a program star here for doing alignment. And it looks like it may have done so again, unless it went to Cursa. We'll find out. No, that's not Cursa.
Rigel?
See, it says Cursa though. It has that's the problem. Remember I told you how Cursa's coordinates are wrong?
Yes.
In a telescope. So, like if we go back to the planetarium now and look, and we back out, all right. So it's going to show it's already going to where we. Okay, it says it's going there, but watch that. All right, watch now. That's where it thinks it's supposed to be going. But let's see if that. Yeah, see, it moves because it's going to the wrong coordinate. The telescope knows it's supposed to be there, but this is what gets reported because that's where it actually is. You know, so that's the problem. Is that this is Cursa's a bad star for this particular database, unfortunately.
That's in Stellarium, correct?
No, this is well, yes, but I don't think it's a Stellarium issue. But you know, I could test by I could pick these objects here, and go to stars and see if Cursa's in here. Which is probably not. You know, Cursa would. These are only the brightest of stars, and there's not that many. You know, so if I do a search and I type in Cursa, let's see if it's in there.
Izabela, Starlink is working on the property. The people who live there, I believe, are enjoying Starlink, but
Yes, they
Mark
are.
can't access it because he doesn't have the what'd you call it? Some
I need
kind of
a-
adapter.
I need an additional adapter, which is already on the way. So we'll have the adapter, and then we'll be able to do what we have to do.
Okay.
Okay, we're going to go 1.5 degrees per second or 0.5 degrees. Let's do this. Let's bring up our equatorial coordinate system. This is a 3-second exposure we're looking at right now, just so you know. So that's going to be kind of slow to pick up here. Oh, I don't want to go that way. I want to go this way.
As I said the other night, it's kind of like your landlords. It's like watching them through the window of a fancy restaurant, enjoying a nice meal while you're standing outside.
Well, because they have the Starlink, yeah. That's okay. That's fine. No problem. It'll be
Do they
fine.
like the service?
Oh, yeah.
Well, I bet.
Yeah, oh, you bet. Yeah, of course they do. All right.
All the sweeter once you get hooked up.
That's right. Okay, so let's do this. Hey there, James. James
Hey,
Dugan
James.
from Australia has joined us. Now, the receiver we have, Marcin, it's just a little adapter because the latest Starlink router does not come with an Ethernet connector. We have the version 2 of the Starlink dish, which is not an oval dish. It's not elliptical. It's actually square. Hi, Bonnie. Bonnie Anahata 77 is here. Okay, let's just tag west a bit.
From Pagosa Springs.
From Pagosa Springs, that's right.
That's pretty
Okay.
country down there.
Yeah? Come on.
down in the south side of the San Juan Mountains.
Okay.
Not too far from New Mexico.
Well. Okay. Okay, we're gonna start right here. I think. I think this is gonna be right where we're gonna start, and we should have a piece of. This should be all. Let's identify that star.
Yeah, that's those 3 bright stars there in the lower part of the stellarium field.
Yes. Right
Yep,
there.
right
there
there.
they are. Okay, so we're
53
good.
Eridani.
Yeah. 63. Yeah.
63.
Mm-hmm. That's good. So, thank you, Starlink. Shoo.
Well, that was a fast one.
Well, that's typically how fast Starlink is, and just about how bright. But I'm doing a 3-second exposure. Don't forget. I'm going to go down to 1 second when I do other travel. But right now, we're going to go up to 60 seconds to start this. Actually, what first I'm going to do is I'm going to go in and adjust the guider. I want to get the guider to do a little something different. You know what's funny is like no one's actually doing any of this stuff out there, and I've mentioned that before. You know, no one's done any of this out there. There's people doing live astronomy, of course, but they're not doing objects in a finished way like we're doing it. We're making them look just beautiful in no time. I love this.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just so happy at the way this is all working. Okay, so that's the right ascension rate. Now we're going to the declination rate. Right ascension rate, I'm setting the rate from east to west that it's going to correct for problems with the guiding. And now set the up and down, which is declination. Us astronomers like to confuse you. Okay. And that's that. Okay. And now the guider will operate, I think, in a much better way. So, now that we've done that, let's come in here. And first things first, let's set the focus startup position. It might be okay now, but I'm going to check it anyway. Make adjustments. And then have the finder start tuning itself. Has the focus start tuning itself as necessary.
Is your camera down to temperature yet?
Yes, it is.
Okay.
This doesn't look bad. This looks pretty good. I think we're good here. Alright. There's a galaxy in this image right here.
Mm-hmm.
And we've seen that galaxy before. Okay. And off we go. Let's go over here now and go to 60 seconds. And this is my finder view. It actually looks like a sensitized hyper view, basically. And so I'm coming off of that. Okay, I understand what happened now. Okay. All right. This is a new version, and it did not remember a lot of the details. It saves them when I first do it, but it doesn't. This is a new version, and I have to input some new parameters, apparently.
You're referring to why the plate solve didn't work too?
Maybe. The 8-bit, if it's 8-bit, that'll explain it. Okay, see, it's 8. Okay, now watch this. If I go to 16, right, and I do the plate solve, it'll work. That could be, now that makes sense, because that's a problem I had before. All right, so raw 16, and it goes away, then it comes back, and you'll notice that, oh, it's doing 60 seconds now. Grr. Let's just get this back down to 1 second, just to take care of one problem at a time. Okay, now in 1 second, all right, now we should have a plate solve that works. So let's just do a quick plate solve. that might be why this wasn't working. That makes sense to me. Come on, plate solve. Here we go. Oh, it's 1 second delay. Jeez, I cannot wait for my Starlink attachment here.
I want my maple.
Exactly. Okay, as you can see now, we've got lots of field objects. So we're going to get a green bar here saying plate solve was successful. And then while I'm sitting here, I can actually try that annotation here. I'll bet you this is going to work. So it does the plate solve by itself, but is the annotation as well. So it might do that.
Succeeded.
There we go. Okay, so that's what it was. Just a few issues. See, that's why the cooler hadn't been turned on, because it went back to using some default conditions. And there goes another Starlink satellite that would ruin our shot. That might not be Starlink. That might be a different one. Well, no, actually, it might be a Starlink, because this is a 1 second shot versus the 3 second shot. Okay.
Yeah, they've
So
all
that's,
been going at the same angle, too, I think.
Yeah, they're going to go like that, crossed angles. Let's do the deep sky image annotation now. And what you do is you double click on the image. So it's going to come up now, and then I double click. Oh, look at that. I didn't even do anything, and it already identified the stars. Look at that.
Yeah.
That was instantaneous. That's really cool. All right. And then if I do nearby, it's solving a frame, and it says something went wrong. I don't know why I did that. Don't know why I did that. Well, let me try. But see, it knows where we are, so it did the project. It did it right. So plate solve. I might have to add more to do the other. But notice that it's kind of interesting how it actually just automatically labeled the stars, just like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's pretty cool. That's a nice little feature.
Gave you brightness, too.
Yeah, that's right. Sound familiar? That's kind of like that other thing you were telling me.
Yeah.
I wonder if it was the same. Depends. And I could see now. I can save these images with annotations. It's all really kind of cool, guys. And this is HIP is Hipparchus. So this is the Hipparchus catalog star 23221. 23,221. And then we have 63 Eridani. This guy here. Magnitude of 5.39. So these are all. This object has been identified with its Hipparchus name, its name in the constellation, and its brightness. Pretty cool. I'm liking this. All right. So now we know this works, and I'm glad that it was the problem that we had before. It was just that simple thing. Judy McClelland, hi there. Nice to see you. Thank you for coming out. Okay, so now one other thing I need to do is go into the settings here and make sure that it's saving the settings. Once I close Sharp Cap, it should save these settings. So I just have to do this and make sure we do it. So automatically restore last used camera settings when opening a camera. Yes. Automatically, no, don't reconnect automatically, but automatically restore last used camera settings. And that takes care of everything in this camera menu here that you just saw. So okay, and I think we're good.
Renee Cruz and Laura Newbert are here, too.
Laura Newbert. Hey, Laura. Renee Cruz. Nice to see you as well. Laura, I'd like to talk to you at some point. We are actually almost done with the 501c3 designation for SkyTour. Did bylaws and everything is ready. So now it's just a matter of having someone sign off on it for us. Then I'd like to pick your brain about that if I could.
501c3, that makes you a non-profit group?
Yes.
Yeah.
See, the thing is, I want to bring this observatory and more observatories to everybody. I mean, I just want to put a network of buildings around the world. Okay. I've got one in Connecticut that's rehabbing right now, but I've got one in Arizona. Then I want to put one in the southern hemisphere. And, I'll take requests from people who might want us to do a site survey of their location to see if that's a good place to start. But I just want to I really need some support. And giving to an individual doesn't work as well as giving to an organization. You can find someone that might donate to an organization. Our mission statement is clear about what we want to do. It's basically educational astronomical outreach. And it's just a fun thing. Okay.
It's a noble endeavor, too.
I hope so.
I always believed that telescopes were the most noble of machines.
Well, they really are, because you spend time learning how to use them and tuning them like a fine precision instrument, like a fine Swiss watch. And telescopes in general run better than a Swiss watch.
Well, they have to.
Mm-hmm. And a Swiss watch runs very, very well. All right, let's bring up our stacking here and let's add an enhancement. Let's do our unsharp mask. You'll see the stars might get a little brighter. They might look a little brighter. That's fine if they don't yet. But now we're going to do the histogram. Hey, Lewis. Thanks. Happy Monday to you, too. Cindy
that
Murphy.
brings up an old argument, actually. The most noble of machinery. The most... what machine has had the greatest impact on society and all.
Yeah.
Some say the steam train or locomotive trains. Some say the printing press. Things like that.
I would say that each generation has their most noble machine.
And they do.
And I would say that the most noble machine for us may not be the most noble machine for the generations past, or in the future. It's a sliding window. The most noble machine is the coolest thing. I mean, there was a point where this silly phone was the most noble machine because it brought so many people together. Hey, there's Atarak. Okay, there is...
Cell phones in particular?
Yeah. Cell phones and communication single-handedly changed how healthy people can remain. Yes, there is problems with cell signals and so forth like that, but in general, it shortens the communication gap for people that might need help, and that is something that is very, very important.
Yeah, well, you know how I feel about cell phones. I think they got a downside too. What they've done to etiquette and society.
Oh yeah. People stare into their phones instead of looking at you when they're talking to you.
Yeah, self-centered. Yeah. I'm old enough to remember when I was a little kid, we would go on Sunday drives in the country, and we would go visit relatives that lived out in the sticks.
Okay.
And I remember relatives that still had the old style telephones, like
rotary dial.
Not even rotary dial. I mean, these things were, you'd pick it up. It looked like the telephone at Drucker's store on Petticoat Junction or something.
And you talk to an operator.
Yep. And,
connect me to.
You'd get their attention, and they'd have to plug you in.
Yeah, it's like, and I never understood that. It's like, you listen to those people, it's like old talk. I don't know how to say. It's like, can I have Madison 457, please? What the hell is that? I didn't have any idea what that is.
When I was a kid, our telephone started with letters and not numbers. It was UN 8668314, but the first two numbers were letters instead. It was UN 68314.
Wow. I guess that's enough letters and numbers to uniquely identify people, right?
Yeah, but we had party lines too.
Oh. I remember that. I mean, for party lines, basically that's a landline, and you have, you can actually have it so that more than one person can be on the line at a time, right? Kind of like a Skype group call, but without the visual. Now, with, you can basically have the Dick Tracy two-way wrist TV on your wrist.
Exactly.
And I think that's pretty cool. And that was invented in the 1920s with Dick Tracy.
Yep.
And they made a big deal of his wrist TV, two-way wrist TV. And it would be a little arrow pointing to it. It was like, even when I was a kid, I thought that was silly.
Yeah.
You know? But it was pretty cool. Two-way wrist TV. Okay, this is our take an exposure here of the witch head, and I'm trying to just there's 1 minute exposures stacked. We've got 5 stacked so far. Internet's a little slow tonight out there, but I cannot wait. Once we get Starnet, it's gonna be like real time, and that is gonna be, oh my gosh, we'll look at this and say, how did we ever endure this? You know. Barson Johansson says, now there's Connections Museum in Seattle, so you can learn how those old phone systems work. That's interesting. I was in Seattle. We did we did a movie with our studio, and it premiered in Seattle, and so we were there watching it. And I didn't know about the Connection Museum, or I would have been there just to see what it's like. I did walk down to the Space Needle though from the Cinerama theater that was there. We had people going around the block to get in. Hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people wanted to see this movie. Very unique. 120 frames per second, all 3D, and then highest resolution available, 4K. And the screen was 4 times brighter than normal screens. It actually looks so real that when someone was in 3D on the screen, you'd swear that someone's standing on the stage at this theater. And then they step over the border, step over what is the base of the screen and onto the stage, and you swear they're stepping out of the screen. It's the most incredible thing. And of course, everybody in the audience is like, whoa!
Sounds like a hologram.
It was actually an illusion of one. And at one point in our movie, we actually have these quote-unquote CIA guys tear the screen down. And so the whole white screen that you're watching the movie on falls to the floor, and you see the truss work and the steel behind the stage, behind the screen. And they're standing there on the stage, where the screen is going, all you people stay there, you've got to be debriefed. They're the CIA kind of a thing. And it was kind of cool. Not kind of, but extremely cool. Yep. That was the movie done that was done over at Trumbull Studios by Douglas Trumbull, a bunch of us. And Douglas unfortunately passed away a few weeks ago. Miss him greatly. He was a very good friend.
I bet.
Yeah. When I was recovering from my surgery 6.5 years ago, and for those that don't know, I had a surgery that went bad, and I woke up quadriplegic and profoundly blind. And I had to learn how to see again, walk again, talk again, feel again, and walk, all these things, every single sensation. Even my eyes weren't aligned correctly, and I had to learn how to do all that again. And I had to rewire my brain, and I did. And the doctors didn't think I could do it. They didn't think anyone could do it. And I said, no, but it's what we can do as humans. We can rewire our brain when it's broken. And I did. And they said I was going to be 2 years of recovery, and maybe I'll get 50, 60% back, possibly. My sight, they said I wasn't going to have, because my visual center was all but gone. I literally had, during the surgery, a clot got away from them at the surgical site and exploded in the brain. Now, it's not their fault, actually, and I was never angry at them for that, because without their intervention, I wouldn't be here. So, when it blew up in the brain, it destroyed my visual center in the brain. It's like Swiss cheese in there, nothing there. And I had no sight. I could hear. I couldn't move anything. So the first thing I needed was my eyes. So I worked out a way to get my eyes back. And I had to endure pain. I made my eyes endure pain so the brain would train with pain. And so I had the nurse set up a screen, my laptop, and I watched Netflix day and night. And I went from seeing nothing on the screen to just feeling the heat of the LCD screen to seeing shadows and to being able to make out Jerry Seinfeld on the screen in just 3 or 3.5 days. And that led to getting my full sight back to like 98%, where it is now. This, I did the same thing, retraining using pain to get my hands working again, everything. Because I told doctors, it was September, it was June 15th, 2015, when this happened. And I told doctors, okay, we're at 10 stacked here. I'm going to pause this. I told doctors that I have to be in Los Angeles. I was in New York City in a hospital there. I said, I have to be in Los Angeles in September, which is less than 3 months away, right? July, August, September. And I've got to talk at a conference. And the doctor looked at me and he goes, Are you sure you know what happened to you? I said, yeah, I had a few strokes. It was 8 strokes, actually. 8 big strokes. And he said, okay. And they actually thought that I was mentally deficient because I didn't seem to comprehend that. But I knew exactly what had happened. In any case, in short, I got better. I made myself better, and I spoke at that conference in Los Angeles. I flew out there by myself. I got out, I did everything like normal. So, in other words, if you've got some kind of, deficiency in some way, you can retrain your brain to fix it. I know you can. I have helped other people with it, and I know it works. So,
may I ask a question?
You may.
You were talking about Douglas Trumbull, and it seemed to lead into this. How do they relate?
Because he died because he ended up having a massive brain assault. A stroke. And I was not able to visit because of COVID restrictions.
Well, that's a shame.
Yeah. That's how it led into this.
Okay.
I wasn't clear, sorry.
Looking back, the first I learned of Douglas Trumbull was the movie 2001: A Space Odyssey, of course. I was a kid, and I got the book, The Making of 2001, before I saw the movie, and I read the book also, and the book actually is where I first learned about Douglas Trumbull, and I just was amazed by the guy then and always have been ever since.
Yeah. My favorite movie that he made was Silent Running. Don't ask me why. Huey, Dewey, and Louie, the little robots.
Yeah. Bruce Dern.
Bruce Dern, right.
Yeah.
I had the opportunity to speak a lot with Doug about that movie, and he said, come here, I got to show you something. And he sat me down in our theater up there, that we designed, right, the whole thing. And he started showing me his behind-the-scenes stuff for the making of that movie. Now, he has that for 2001, Close Encounters, Blade Runner, Brainstorm, okay, and the movie I was just talking about, Silent Running, and it's incredible looking at the behind the scenes, because he shows you how he made all these incredible props and what his thinking was, and the leeway and the flexibility he was given by the producers. Incredible stuff. Absolutely astonishing.
Brainstorm.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's the only one of those movies I never saw. That was Natalie Wood's last movie, wasn't it?
Yeah, actually, she died while making that movie, and that's why Doug left movies, because he was getting death threats and everything, and it's like, what for? He didn't kill her,
Yeah, I heard a little about that at the time.
Yeah.
Some sort of, I don't know, skullduggery is too strong a word, but there
I
were
don't think
questions
it is.
about how she died.
Yeah, it's under suspicion. Actually, they were thinking of reopening that case, which is really cool. Izabela says she watched Brainstorm. Yeah. Brainstorm was a movie about people that figured out a way to record the last moments of what people saw when they were dying. And there was a question of whether you would also die if you were watching these things, this stuff. And the question was, would you die too? And so one of the people on the team did this. All right. And I was... and so they actually checked it out. They looked at the last moments of somebody on the team, and what they saw was this astonishing vista of life after death, and it was really kind of cool. So that's what the movie was about. And Natalie Wood was in the movie, and the rumor was that they were out. I'm going to go to a new spot here. They were out on a boat for some kind of party, cast party or something. And during that party, Natalie Wood went out into this boat because she was having a fight with her then husband, Robert Wagner.
That's right, yeah.
And then...
I'm trying to remember his name.
Yeah, Christopher Walken, who was also in the movie. Hey, I was in the movie. Okay. He ended up being in a potential lover's triangle with her, and it was really an absolutely crazy mess. And so somebody said that he was trying to get rid of Wagner, get him out of the picture, and I don't know. I don't know what the details were, but man, it was just crazy. I didn't hurt anybody.
Yeah.
That's not how you talk to my man here.
You mentioned that. I remember the story now. I saw Christopher Walken last night, and I had never seen the movie Joe Dirt before, and I watched it last night because I was on TV.
I'll stab you in the face with a soldering iron.
Yeah. I was surprised to see him in that movie.
Yeah. Joe Dirt was actually a very funny movie.
It was. I was surprised by it. I generally don't go for stuff like that, but I thought it was very funny, and it was kind of touching in its way.
Yeah. He was wearing a bomb on his back, and it was actually, as the guy said, it's a crapper tank from an RV. And he hit the nozzle, and all this stuff came out all over him. I got the poop on me. Yeah, Joe Dirt was a fun movie. Okay, we're going to go to this spot right here, and we're going to pick up from here now. We're going to give this a shot, see if it works. The gray is because we're actually really, really hypered, okay? This hypered view, it really looks more like what you're about to see. Okay, if I remove that, you'll see it. And it's taking several seconds now to have anything happen. which is just problematic. Okay. So let's just bring it back up now to something.
I remember the oldest thing I saw Natalie Wood in, I forget if it was actually her first role or not, but she was very young, was the John Wayne movie, The Searchers.
Okay.
Her family was, they were settlers down in Texas, and their homestead was attacked by Comanches, and she was kidnapped. Everybody else was killed, I think, and John Wayne set out on a mission to find her and bring her back.
Okay.
And she grew up with the Comanches and sort of became, I guess she became Comanche and married into the tribe, and he found her anyway. That's probably his most hard-bitten role he ever did in a movie.
Well, that's the interesting story, right? Because, you know, of course, Welcome to Hollywood. I mean, if I recall, she had lipstick on, you know, in all her close-ups as a Comanche. Okay, let's see what we got here.
You didn't know till the end of the movie if and when John Wayne ever found her, whether he was going to save her or kill her, like, you know,
really?
put her out of her misery.
Oh.
And you had to wait till the end of the movie to find out.
Oh, well, don't tell anybody.
She was very young.
No. Make sure you hit that thumbs up, guys. Help me trend on YouTube so I can keep doing this. Yes, I'm making a mosaic, Izabela, of the witch's head. That's what we're doing right now. This is the second set of exposures. We're working kind of up at a diagonal. Kind of going to start here, and then we got to go up there, and then like that. So they're not going to be perfect matches, but I just want to see what it'll produce.
It'll wind up being shaped like one of those Hubble images. You know, it looks like the B-2 bomber.
That's right.
All those zigzags in it.
Yep. For all the different images that are brought together.
Yep. That's okay.
Yes, and unfortunately, like I said, that's a little slow, so we have to wait for the quality of the stars to come in. It's just a pain. I ordered the Ethernet adapter for the Starlink, so it will be here, I think, hopefully pretty soon. And then I will get my, I'll get this looking good. All right, let's do a color correction here, which is take it a little bit out of the brown realm here. All right. There, we see nebula right there. This will look good once it's once we get it out of the once we get out of this bad internet thing here. Isabel's asking if it's possible to try that dolphin head again sometime soon. Yes, dolphin head would be good. I want to do that on a night where the internet's faster, though, because I want to have some immediate results that look good. Because right now, this doesn't look good to anybody that's watching. You know, they see a little bit of nebula here, and they don't really get to see this very well. We stacked only one right now. But if we take the time to just darken this up a little bit. Let me just do this.
I'd like to see the dolphin head again.
Yeah, I too. But I want to do it on a good night, because right now it's not a... If the internet is faster, it's better. Because you see how you see the stars have these blotches around them?
Yeah.
That's not good. You know.
I assume it'll still all come out in processing.
Oh, well, this is just for the visual. This has nothing to do with the actual data. The data is pristine.
Oh, yeah.
Data's perfect. This is just for the, for the visual. Hey, PG,
Hi, PG.
How you doing? That's Petita from Pennsylvania. That's Pennsylvania Petita. I'm glad you're here. And there's never any late, you know. It's just, you know, you're here. You know, it's okay. All right, so let's see. Izabela says, I tried to process the image up on the server. It comes out a bit better, but not much. Yes, I know. I actually got a lot of detail out of the dolphin head when I was playing with it, but you got to use some pretty exhaustive techniques to do it. And so what we really need is having to, we actually have to take a longer exposure and just commit to taking another longer exposure. Or up the gain a bit and then deal with the noise later. We can do that too. Marcin Johansson says, Mark, are you referring to the JPEG artifacts introduced from the RDP connection to your telescope computer on AZ? Actually, what you're seeing on the screen, you'll notice that the words are fine. Okay? These words, down like all the menus items and stuff, these are all fine, you'll notice. But you'll notice that the stars, like right now, there's some black splotching in here. These are the live data artifacts from the stream, the uploading from the observatory up into up to the cloud. All right, that's a problem that we're having right now. The longer it sits there, the better it gets, you know. But the data itself is pristine. I mean, notice this central part of the witch head is looking good, and we're gonna move up here in the next set of exposures, and right now we got 5 stacked. Okay, one thing I'm going to do right now.
The farther north you go, the better it's going to get, I think.
Yeah. Hey Siri, turn the lights red.
Okay, red it is.
Okay. Hey Siri, set the lights to 100%.
Okay, I set the lights to 100%.
Okay. All right, so that's a little bit better, because it was really kind of too bright. But I actually can get rid of some other lights.
That's funny.
What?
You talked about cell phones and wonders of technology and all earlier, and Alexa or Siri, and I still remember the very first time I was out in public, and I saw some guy wearing what turned out to be, I guess, a Bluetooth headset, and I thought the guy was nuts. I thought he was talking to himself.
All right.
And he wasn't carrying a phone. He was standing there or walking along doing his thing in a Walmart, and he was yakking his head off. I thought he was nuts at first. So I saw that headset.
I have a problem. I have a problem with people doing that, actually. If they have longer hair, the headset's under their ear, under their hair. You can't see it. So I'd rather see people with a big giant headset, so we know they're on the phone.
Yeah.
Because what I do if people are talking like in a Walmart, okay, if they're on the phone, I'll walk up to them and say, "I'm sorry," like they're talking to me. "Oh, I thought you were talking to me." "No, I'm on the phone." "You are? Oh, okay." And they actually look angry, like, "How dare you interrupt me? I'm on the phone." Really?
Yeah.
Well, guess what? In public, you have no expectation of privacy. Did you know that?
Well, no, they don't know, or they don't care.
That's right.
I mean, and that brings up the whole thing, like people in theaters nowadays. They flash the message to please turn off your phones, and of course nobody does. And, they're sitting there with their screens on during the movie, and they're texting, or worse, they're talking. And I'll never forget the first time I was out at a restaurant for dinner one night, and the husband and a wife were sitting at the table next to me. And she was on her phone nonstop the whole time, and he just sat there eating his dinner, staring off into space. And, she was doing her thing, and he just sat there eating like a cow. They weren't talking, they weren't conversing. She was a million miles away.
Mm-hmm.
That's the whole etiquette thing that I don't care about.
Yeah. See, in situations like that, you could take his side and in the middle of a conversation, lean over and say, "Hey, lady, how's your meal? Now, how's your meal? Hey, is your meal good? You enjoying that? What'd you get?" You know, and she'll be indignant that you're interrupting her on the phone.
Oh yeah.
You know, and it's like, that's hilarious. It's okay. You know, people do some crazy things.
Marson, I think, is asking you a question or two.
Okay.
When you're
Let me
referring
go
to the
back.
data as pristine, and then farther down from there.
Oh, yeah, I see. If you did. Actually, Marson, when these photos are taken and saved and then put up to the server, you're seeing data that is corrupted, I would say, or distorted by artifacts created by the video transmission that you're seeing. Okay, this is my observatory screen here. This is my broadcast screen over here. The broadcast feed will have these artifacts in it, but the actual data itself, the saved files, the saved pictures, does not. They're perfect. And they aren't going to have any of the artifacts in them. And the other night, we had no artifacts at all night. We had perfect internet. It was great. But sometimes we get a night where, and we're using Viasat now, we get a night sometimes where Viasat is just slow, you know. And when that happens, we get problems with our live feed. This is a live feed, remember. You know, every split second, this is getting redrawn, you know. Well, in my case, every second. Papa Tom, how are you? You think you understand now? Okay, sure. No, Marson, no worries. I mean, it's important to understand that the data that's up on the server is perfect. But this is just like looking out a window, and sometimes the window's a little bit foggy. But it means that the scene is still perfect. But looking through the window, it's not. And think of the video, this whole scene, everything you see on your screen here, as looking through the window. All right? Everything's perfect in the background. And it will be when you see it. Okay, we did 11 here, so I'm gonna pause this stack now, save it. All right. You'll notice it's a green bar up there. It says it's saving in FITS format. That's the astronomical format. You can get a free viewer if you want, or you can grab the PNG file that you now see right here. This is the saving this exactly as seen, and then you can manipulate that if you wish. But usually it's the raw files. But for this, what we're doing here, you probably want to wait until I actually process the mosaic, because that's going to be better, I think. Okay, so now we're going to take these stars, we're going to move them over a little bit. So now we're going to
Galaxy
go
up in the top of that frame.
the same one that we're in, right?
Yeah.
You're talking about right in the top center here? Right there?
Top left to center, right there.
Yeah, it's not the only one.
And
There's
yes,
one right
there's
there.
a couple more. Yes.
Yeah. And there's
Stellarium
another one
showed
down
several more.
here.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot more, yeah. And on the final, on the actual database frames, will be fine. Okay, let's go back now to Stellarium. Stellar IUM. All right, and now we want to come up to about, I'd say, come to here. Right there. So we want to get, oh, I don't think I can quite, let's just see this. If we were down here, right? We're right here. Okay. Let's see where that is in the scope. There it is, right dead center. Okay, good. That tells me then that those galaxies, like there, if we come up here, we want to put that right about here. And that's going to be good. Actually, maybe right there. Okay. So we're going to center it on that little plus sign right there. And then when we do that, we will be fine. First thing is first, I'm going to clear the stack. Clear the stack. Get rid of the stack. Go to 1 second. And bring us back. Alright. There we go. Alright. And now go into our hyper mode where we actually see things brighter. Alright. And now we come back here. Alright. And we want to go up right about to there. So there, let's now head up north a little bit.
Got your nose.
That's right, I got your nose, my pretty. I'm gonna go east a little bit. Okay, now we're gonna be seeing the brighter parts of this nebula, so it's gonna actually start showing up better. Okay, now we're going to go 16 times guiding speed and go eastward a little bit. And then go south a little bit. Probably too much a bit. That might work. One more little jog. This will be good.
Joe Bugatti Beats, please don't use harsh language in here.
Okay, so this looks like a good location. Maybe a little more to the west. Let's see if that works. Yeah, that looks like this should work.
We'll get that bright star in the field too. Kersey Aljauza 1.
Yeah, I should have it in the upper right here. Let's go out and see. And there it is.
Yeah.
Okay, that's good. So I think we're good now. And we'll go to 60 seconds here. Meanwhile, we're finding a guide star. Before I do this, though, I'm going to do one other thing. I'm going to zoom in and just make sure that our focus is staying on track. I don't remember turning on the focus follower.
Oh, I meant to ask you about that. So yeah.
Yeah. Okay, good thing I looked because I got to turn it on.
Fairly warm out there today.
Is it?
It was in the 70s there in Arizona earlier, late this afternoon, I think.
Okay. All right, let's drop this down now. Let's drop it down some more.
It's supposed to be in the 60s here next couple of days. Might hit 70s here on Thursday.
Wow.
Then winter's coming back for the weekend.
Well, it's just baloney.
Oh, it's that time of year.
Oh, Marston Johansson, what is the worst science fiction movie you've seen? Battle Beyond the Stars.
You took the words out of my mouth. That was John Boy
Richard-
Walton, wasn't it?
Yeah, John by Walton. Yeah, Richard. What's his name?
Thomas?
Richard Thomas. Yeah.
Yeah.
A ship called Mother that had breasts.
Yep.
It was the craziest thing I've ever seen. And there were, wasn't that the movie where they had these creatures called the Kelvins that whenever they would be brought together, they would generate lots of heat. So when they were camping outside, they actually put them back to back, and that would keep people warm. And they were actually toasting marshmallows over their heads. I thought that was pretty funny. It was clever, but the stupidest movie I've ever seen.
And
Battle
there
Beyond the
was,
Stars.
yeah, there was some B actress in there that was very plentifully endowed. I
Yeah.
forget her name, I think.
It wasn't Adrienne Barbeau, right?
No, this was some blonde.
Yeah, I remember that movie, Battle Beyond the Stars. Oh. Yeah. Special effects by James Cameron. Is that true?
Uh,
Was it Jim Cameron that did the special effects? Can't
I
believe
would
that.
have to look it up. It must have been very early in his career, if that's true.
If it was true, it was a disappointing, embarrassing.
Yeah.
And the ship talked like Mother.
Sybil Danning. Thank you, Donald. Yep.
Okay.
That's who the babe was.
Wow.
I
Okay.
think they modeled the ship after her, actually.
Really?
Yeah, the prow of the ship, or whatever you want to call
Yeah.
it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
with the big breasts.
Sybil Danning.
Oh, I remember her now.
Yeah. If you want to talk all-time worst sci-fi movie, period, it'd probably have to be something from Mystery Science Theater 3000.
Oh, yes. One of my favorite shows, actually.
Yeah, Deathstalkers and the Warriors from Hell was the MST3K candidate for me.
Okay.
So bad it was good.
We actually have a little wind out there blowing the telescope around a bit right now. As you can see. Hold on, I gotta show you something while the wind is coming right there. Okay. I gotta show you this. You ready? Might be backwards, but this is Mystery Science Theater 3000. This is the planet. This is this is actually from the mold that they for the show. It's only a half. It was Mystery Science Theater 3000. Wow.
Yeah.
And the Satellite of Love, of course, was a piece of male anatomy. That's what that was. Okay.
Says you got a 5-knot wind south of Wickenburg.
Yeah. But we have a sail sticking up in that building right now. You see it?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Okay, well, we're going to try this because this might be all right. But first things first, let me go and... it doesn't look good for the focus right now. I don't want to abandon this mosaic, but I didn't have any of this problem before. At least not that I could tell. All right, let me just go wildly out for a minute.
If you want to talk Richard Thomas trivia, Donald, did you ever see him in John Boy Walton? He was in the pilot episode of Rod Serling's Night Gallery about the Sin Eater.
The what eater?
Sin Eater. The Eater of Sins. That show grossed me out so bad that
That's
Uh,
good.
it was way back in the bad old days, in medieval times or whatever, and there was a guy called the Sin Eater who he was like the village guy who ate the sins of loved ones who had passed on, other people in the village, and he was John Boy's father, and there was like a plague or something going on, and John Boy came home and his father had died. And what they would do to eat sins, they would make up a fancy meal and set it around the dead body, and you ate the meal, and thus you ate the sins of the person who had died. And John Boy came home, and it turned out his father had died, and Mom said, "Well, we need a new sin eater, son." And there was his father waiting on the dinner table, and John Boy had to eat his father's sins, who had eaten the sins of hundreds or thousands of other people.
Oh,
And here he was so innocent, and he had to chow down on his father's sins. That was just plain gross.
but they weren't eating their father, right?
No, they it was a symbolic thing that
Okay, so
You
he
know,
was just on the
whoever-
table, dead.
right, but he was like the centerpiece of the table, okay, as his father was, and the meal was spread all around him, and his mom said, "Well, son, guess who's coming for dinner?" It was just a horrible, gross show.
Yeah, what they have for dessert?
I don't remember. I mean,
Oh,
I had
disgusting.
mixed feelings about Twilight Zone with Rod Serling, and then he did that night gallery show,
Yeah, there
and
we go.
that
This
just
is better.
absolutely grossed me out. Yep, you got her nose.
Yeah, this is. We'll carry through with it, even though we got some wind. Just to get a mosaic out of it. Let me explain how you make a mosaic here, guys. So what you do is, each and every image, okay, has a specific pattern of brightness that occurs. Around the edges, it'll be a little bit darker. This is every camera. In the center, it's going to be a little bit lighter. All right. This thing around the edge is called vignetting. It has to do with the focal length and the sensitivity of the sensor and so forth. So every image we take has to be corrected for that central brightening. So I have a generic way I do electronically. I correct it, and that is something. Marianne, you're funny. So that is what I do for each and every picture. Then I actually can mosaic them together, all right, and that way they'll all be even brightness across and not have like blotches of white in each of the pictures, okay, which is what would happen otherwise. Marianne says, "Mark and Daryl, I think I came in at the wrong time. What the heck are you talking about?" It wasn't me, Marianne. It was Daryl. Daryl was talking about some stupidly bad movie. We were talking about really bad movies. In particular,
Well,
what was
you
the
brought
worst
up,
science fiction movie that anyone ever saw?
Yeah, and you brought up Battle
The
Beyond
worst
the
science
Stars.
fiction. I said,
Yeah.
what was the worst science fiction movie you ever saw? Immediately, we both, Daryl and I, thought of it. I said, Battle Beyond the Stars, and Daryl laughed because that was his pick, too.
Yep.
Yeah.
And John Boy Walton was in Battle Beyond the Stars, so we started talking about John Boy Walton.
I mean, I think there's a scene in there where these two Kelvins with their bald heads against each other are heating up, and they're doing these toasted marshmallows over their heads, and I think someone's playing the harmonica at the same time. I don't remember, but man, if I was those actors, I would be sitting there thinking, I'm never, ever, ever gonna act again. I just won't. I'm glad I'm wearing makeup. They won't recognize me. You have nightmares after watching Sci Fi, Marianne? What the heck are you? The heck are you talking about? Nightmares. For crying out loud, it's just science fiction. Emphasis on the fiction. Okay, this image of the which Head Nebula is coming out a little better. We're going to go one more up top and a diagonal. But we're including, here's that galaxy from below. This was at the top of the previous frame.
Mm-hmm.
It was up here, and now it's going to be down here. So we're actually adding all this. And then we're going to go up one more. So that's good.
I have one other night gallery memory. I don't even know if I should mention it. It's pretty bad. Did you ever watch the show?
Yeah, Rod Serling's Night Gallery, yeah. I felt it was a cheap ripoff of Twilight Zone, to be honest.
Yeah.
It didn't really work for me, and, you know, I actually thought Kolchak Night Stalker was even better than that.
Oh, I loved Kolchak's Night Stalker. That was Darren McGavin. That was a guy.
His little tiny film camera. Click!
Yeah.
It's like...
That was the guy from the Christmas Story. He played father.
Mm-hmm.
The old man.
Mm-hmm.
Darren McGavin.
With the leg lamp.
Yep.
So, Marianne, do you want to tell everybody where you're going tomorrow? I won't say it. If you don't want to tell them, I won't say it. She's taking a short trip. Hey there, OG Skywatch. How you doing? Outer Limits was good.
That scared me worse than Twilight Zone ever did.
Outer Limits?
Yes.
Why is that?
I just have a memory as a kid. It was on
little
TV.
Flying saucers?
Freaked me. Pardon me.
Yeah, Outer Limits was actually pretty interesting. Look at that. She's going to Hawaii. You heard it there. Going to Hawaii with Tara and her family. Now, Marianne and Tara are the primary movers and shakers, you know, within Skyter Livestream. So, does this mean I can't stream while they're gone? No, it doesn't. I'm going to do it anyway. So, if anything happens, we're just going to have to deal with it. I'm sure it'll be fine, actually. Louis Toss says, when they cast the old Leonard Nimoy as the old Spock and Zach Quinto as... trying to read as it's moving. And Zach Quinto was an awesome young Spock, but it lacked William Shatner. Yeah. It did.
They were talking about Abrams movies.
Yeah.
I hated the Star Trek reboot. And that whole movie just offended me greatly. As the saying goes, you know, they didn't stick to canon, but
Why would you be offended?
It went against everything the old original Star Trek was.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
He didn't respect the storyline from the old canon.
You were clearly a Roddenberry fan.
I'm sorry?
You're a Roddenberry fan.
Yeah, and then, you know, whoever followed Roddenberry, just with, the original Sherry storyline and Next Generation, I guess.
Yeah. Well, you had Deep Space Nine, you had Voyager.
I didn't care for Deep Space Nine.
Actually, I like Deep Space Nine better than Voyager. Okay.
A lot of people like Deep Space Nine better than the Next Generation.
Yeah,
I never could get into Deep Space Nine.
I liked Deep Space Nine was okay, but if you Next Generation compared to Voyager, I mean, I'm sorry, but that Captain Janeway character.
Her voice is raspy. It's like she's saying, Mr. Tuvok, bring me my cigarettes.
Yeah, I tried to like
that.
Voyager, but I just couldn't get into it.
I couldn't handle her voice.
Yeah.
I couldn't handle her voice, but I did watch all of them, and I will tell you, it was really, really well done. The final episode in the final season, I really thought that made it all worth it. And to be honest with you, I was really happy with it. And you got Reginald Barkley, who was the character who played that kind of somewhat aloof but genius guy who who managed to figure out a way to rescue the Voyager. It was pretty cool. So I was actually riveted with the last several episodes of Voyager. You know,
As much as I didn't like Janeway.
you know.
She made Admiral before Picard did.
That's right.
But yeah, that's true about Barclay, or Broccoli as they called him sometimes on Next Generation. But yeah,
That's
that
right.
was what was his name? Dwight Schultz. He played Starbuck on the original A-Team.
That's right.
Same guy.
That's right. Yeah, and the thing is, who is it I know who knows Dwight Schultz? I was just talking to him. Oh, I know. No, I don't. I can't remember. I can't remember who it was I was talking to who actually is a friend of Dwight Schultz. Okay, we're at 9 stacked, almost going on 10. Then we're gonna stop and change position here. It, like I said, it's only getting brighter from here. Okay, we've got 10, so we're gonna pause. We're gonna save. Notice I didn't do any naming.
Yeah.
And that was by intent. So, oops. It's easier to name the directories myself, but if I forget, then it becomes a mess, and I don't like making a mess. Okay, so let's save exactly as seen.
Now, when I went to see the first Abrams reboot of Star Trek, I
Yes.
had been under a self-imposed exile from the movies for decades, since the early 90s. I had quit going to the movies.
They're
And I went
expensive.
to see the reboot.
The
and
floors
the
are
movie,
sticky.
I'm sorry.
That's because the movies are expensive and the floors are sticky. Who wants to go into a theater?
Well, that and so much more. But I went to see the Star Trek reboot with great hopes and expectations. And the movie offended me, and the audience offended me, and the whole cell phone shtick and all that stuff. People not knowing how to act in the theater anymore. I mean, I stayed and watched the whole thing, but I did not enjoy that movie at all. And I haven't been back to the movies since.
Oh, well, okay then. You know, that is, I guess, what happens.
Yeah.
All right, we're going to move up to here now and get the rest, and then we'll finish out this. Let's just hope we don't get any more wind.
He's got the wind.
I don't know if you'd call me an iconoclast or what nowadays, but I just I broke my vow to go see that movie, and that offended me so much. Well, I went back right to my vow. If there's a movie
Okay.
I'm interested in, I'll wait till it comes out on cable or buy the DVD.
Well, you win.
Yeah. I don't think I'm missing much.
No. Okay. So, I was just setting up where we are.
Yeah.
Okay, mosaic of the Head Nebula. All right, so let's move up a little bit and bring the telescope more in line with the center plus right here that you can see. And then we're going to head east a little bit. Yes, Marianne is going for the first time to Hawaii. She's going to Kauai. Now, I actually think a person from Arizona going to Kauai, I mean, in a way, I have to, and she brought it up today when I talked to her, I really have to think that's going to actually be so difficult, I think, because here you're going to have someone from Arizona, where it's hot and dry, going to Kauai, where it's humid and rainy. It'll be very interesting to see how that goes.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, so let's just get this centered up right here. And we'll start the last exposure. Okay, we're going to let this this will be our frame. And we're going to, with that being our frame, we're going to then do, wait for this to actually get its guide star, which I think it did. Hey, Ronald, how you doing? Ronald is here. ERRT. You know. Oh, Marianne, don't worry. You know what? Think of yourself as a National Geographic reporter. You're going on assignment, on location. It could be worse. You could be going to Papua New Guinea, where you would have to avoid people that are probably not too pleased that they would see you. Okay, I will turn this name off here, pull it out of there. Just for now, this is a mosaic of the Head Nebula, as before. This is the upper part, the final piece, the end, the terminus, the chin of the upside down witch. Thanks, guys, for joining me tonight on this. This is nice. Marianne said she would drop in for a few minutes, and there she is. She's dropped in. Yeah, look at that.
Yep.
Nice. That looks nice. This is not the best guiding because we have some wind out there. In fact, I hate to say it, but I'm going to clear this. And we're going to start over because that was just too much. If this next one does it, we'll just forget about it and let it go.
Thank you, Izabela.
Oh yeah, thank you very much, Izabela. I just saw that. Yes. Marianne says she needs air. That's right. I'm like that too. You gotta have a fan running at all times. I do. I always have to have a fan running. Always have to have air. Okay, we'll let this one go. Marianne, you're saying you're gonna send pictures of you in a grass skirt? Well, guess what? Now you have to. Everybody here saw it. And right now, what that means by everybody is the 31 people that are watching right now. Okay? They all saw you write that. So every one of them is now realistically and properly expecting you to send a picture of you in a grass skirt. I absolutely expect it. It's unacceptable if you don't do it.
I'd settle for her in a bathing suit. Of course, I think I've seen her in a bathing suit before.
I think you probably have.
Yeah, they were doing a hot tub party or something there one night.
It's just a nice pool in the backyard. It has a little grotto in it with water that comes down. You go behind the waterfall. It's really kind of cool. I've never done it. I've never been in that pool once. Just never turned out. Okay. Marianne, don't ignore it. We said you have to be in a grass skirt. You said it, not us. I'm not going to let you live that one day. You're going to have to do it. You got to do it now. Gerald, you spying on Marianne or what?
No, she, I don't remember the circumstances. You must have been streaming something of the sort, and went to Marianne's house, and she was there, and Tara was there, and some other people at the UFO Congress, I guess, as she mentioned, and we're all getting ready to go get in the hot tub. And they went and got in the hot tub. And it was a live
Where was
camera.
I was at the UFO Congress.
Were you there? I don't remember, but somebody, somehow, it must have been.
Might have been a
some
previous year.
Stream of yours that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Jessica S says, "I heard you shouldn't remove any of the lava rocks." That's true. You know, if you're familiar with native culture in the continental United States, it's very, very important for you to follow their cultural taboos. And there are cultural taboos in Hawaii too, with the indigenous people there. There's problems putting observatories up on Mauna Kea. Now that's 13,700 feet up. You know, no one sees it at the top from the ground unless it's a clear day. They're usually under clouds. The clouds are below them. But there are cultural taboos, and they wanted to build a new telescope there. And there was some problems with the indigenous cultural taboos that were in effect. Yeah, no, okay, that was the virtual one, okay. Yeah, I wasn't at that one.
Mark, will you excuse me a moment, please?
Sure.
Be right back.
Okay. Okay, let's all go hide. When he comes back, nobody will be here. Yeah, Marson, it is sacred to native indigenous Hawaiians. Yeah. Yeah, you can get a coconut, Marianne. That's good. And this is coming out nice. This is the brightest part of the Head Nebula here. We have a little bobbling because of the wind, unfortunately. Which is too bad. But you know what? It's alright. Kind of cool. Alright, let's see if we can increase your view a little bit here. Kind of give it a little more structure. Yeah, that's gonna work. All right. Okay, we're at 7 frames, 3 more, and we will stop this and head off to some other magical places. Mauna Kea is potentially extinct. It's not necessarily extinct. All the Hawaiian volcanoes can come back to life. Mauna Loa, all right, the largest one on the Big Island, that actually has activity. I can't. Mauna Kea actually has not had activity in recent history, but Kilauea has. And Kilauea is down the slope and further out on the island. Same island. So the entire island is over a hot spot. So to say Mauna Kea is extinct is not necessarily true at all. The entire Hawaiian island chains of islands, in fact, there's hot spots that come up through the mantle, and they pop islands up. And then the hot spot stays in the same place, but the crust rides over it. As the crust rides over it, and pops up another island. It rides over some more, pops up another island. Next thing you know, you got these chains of islands that have popped up in the crust and then reach the surface and pop up. And if they don't reach the surface, then they're called seamounts, and they're underwater hills, basically, mountains. The tallest mountain in the entire solar system, right, you might say is Olympus Mons on Mars. But in fact, it's actually not on Mars, it's on Earth, if you count all the ocean seafloor height of the volcano. And I think that's Mauna Loa we're talking about. You're going to be on Kauai, Marianne, so you're not going to be able to get to Mauna Kea. Mauna Kea is on the Big Island, Hawaii. And Mauna Loa is on the Big Island, and Kilauea is on the Big Island. Haleakala Crater is on Maui, and you're going to be kind of next to Maui. So if you take an island charter, you could probably get to Maui in 25 minutes or so. And you go to Haleakala, and I think Haleakala would be interesting. There's a nice observatory in Haleakala, but to see the professional observatories, you got to go to Hawaii. You go to Mauna Kea. And while you're there, you got to see Kilauea. Hey, go to Volcano National Observatory in Kilauea, right? When I go there, I'm going to have a trip planned out. I can't wait. You know. Okay, we are at 10 stacked here. So I can pause this now and move along, baby. Move along. Nothing to see here. Move along. Move along. You back, Daryl?
I'm back.
I thought you were. Okay. Saving the FITS format, and that's our astronomical format. You can get a free viewer. And then the ping file, which is our exactly as seen image. Then we clear this and get rid of the stack. And then we can go back to 1 second here. All right, Marianne, you have a good night. I was so glad to see you come out here. You said you were going to come by for a few minutes, and you stayed for about a half an hour. That was very kind of you. Very nice to see you.
Have fun, Marianne.
Yes, Marcin. North of Flagstaff, just a little bit, is Sunset Volcano National Monument, and that's a ton of cinder cones. Lots of cinder cones. You could actually walk on volcanic ash. Okay, lapilli. There's basically a tiny little volcanic soil that comes raining down. It's hundreds of feet deep, and then there's lava that you can actually wind your way between the lava flows and do a long walk. It's like a park. It's really, really pretty. And Marianne's talking about the two she took me to. Yeah, that's right. Sunset Volcano. And you know the tracks that people run on? They're called tartan tracks. They're those little gray They're also called cinder tracks. They're actually mined from volcanoes. That's the volcanic lapilli made into commercial product. And you can see them making it in Flagstaff, Arizona. It's really cool. Okay. Oh, we got the Cosmic Bat up here again. Should we try the Cosmic Bat?
Have we done it before?
Yeah, we have.
Sure. Why not?
Yeah, it looks kind of cool. All right, let's try this. Let's see if it's going to try. If it's going to go to cursor, it's going to get it wrong. So we'll just let it get it wrong, and then we'll correct it. All right. If it goes to Bellatrix instead, then it'll be right, but it looks like it's going to go to cursor. And it's got the wrong values for cursor. So there's cursor, but let's see what happens. Okay. Zingo. Now see, that's where it wants to be. Let's see what happens. Oh no, he got it, look.
So, cursor to the bat worked,
Yes.
but it didn't work for cursor to the other one.
To which head? So what that says to me is it's not cursor's coordinates that are wrong, but the witch head coordinates that are wrong.
Uh-huh.
All right. Okay. Cosmic Bat Nebula is a reflection nebula with a lot of dust in it. It's really, really pretty. And let's try to get a really nice shot of it. And we're not going to do a mosaic. This is just going to be a straightforward shot. That should be kind of fun. And it's Reflection Nebula and Dark Nebula here, which is kind of cool. Alright, so this is where we are. Alright, and we're just going to move up a little bit. And I'm going to also check our focus and make sure. Actually, you know what we'll try right now? This is a good idea. Let's do tools and let's do this deep sky image annotation. Let's see how this works now. Okay, so it's doing a plate solve. I double click to make it do a plate solve. And it should do it, and it'll draw circles around the object. So I might draw a circle around this if it gets it right.
Looks like it's identified one object.
Yeah, the star.
Yeah.
I think that's the immediate identification, but by doing a plate solve, it can actually. Wait, no, it's not. That's not 63 Aridity. That's totally wrong.
I was going to say 63 Aridani was the one we did earlier.
Yeah, I think this is actually just a leftover. That's leftover. Yeah, see, look. Look at that. Okay. And then over here, it identifies, look at that. It identifies the galaxies. Look at that, that's pretty cool. Let's see if I move it, if it actually sticks with it. Let's go to the west and see if I can bring that in, if it'll actually go with it, or if it's just a dumb overlay. It's a dumb overlay. That's cool though. At least it's doing that. That's neat. If I double click again while this is up, it should actually do it again. And actually, yeah, see, that's kind of cool. Okay, but it says it didn't work. Why did solving failed? Okay, so I'm working on the limitations of this. That's fine. That's neat though. So at least it identifies them and actually puts circles around them and identifies what we're looking at. That's very neat. Okay, well here's our object that we're doing right now. So let's go do it.
Did you move while it was still plate solving? Maybe that's why
No.
it said it failed. Oh.
No. But that's okay. Alright, let's do the Cosmic Bat. Alright. Let's go do a... We're going to do 60 seconds, but I'm going to increase the... I'm going to increase the sensitivity here to 450. Because I'd like to actually go up a bit and see more detail. So we're underway, and we're going to do our live stack now of the Cosmic Bat. Thank you, Bonnie. Marianne's so cute. Oh, I'm sorry, Daisy and Zoe didn't say hi. Hi and good night. Okay. Okay, what do we got? We got that because, let's see, I don't think it's this. I think it's actually down here in the live stack. I just have to correct. Sorry about that. So if I just hit this, it's going to actually correct for this. There we go. Boom. That's better. Let's color correct anyway. Make this look a little better. There we go. And now if we come out of that and let this do this 60-second stack.
So that wasn't the gain. Was that because you have the hyper on?
No, it wasn't actually. It was just the previous settings for the camera set the dark level and the white level, you know, this mid level rather. The previous settings for those were still in play.
Oh.
Yeah. So now that, you know, because they're here now. So basically, this is what you're looking at, guys. Is, oh, wait, let me get rid of this. Let me show you. Pull that away. There we go. All right, so now if you look at this again, okay, this curve you're seeing right here, this is the curve of the data, right here. Goes up and it goes down right there, then all the way down there. This is all noise, okay, but the data lives up in here and over there. So what we do is, if you watch over there again, okay, we take this level right here. This is called the dark level, okay, the black level, and we bring it up to the peak of the curve or so, and that actually starts us at the actual data, all right, without getting any impingement or without destroying any of our other data that's there. So when we bring it up close to that, you'll see that our brown faint nebula is still actually there, all right, and that's what we're doing, is to try and draw that out. There's clouds here. This is all brown dust in here, right? And really closer to these stars are having their light scattered by this dust, and it always looks sort of bluish, which is what we're seeing here. And this is the Cosmic Bat Nebula, and as we do more time here, it'll get more and more sharp and clear. And this seems to be a good exposure, not a lot of wind in this particular location at the moment. All right, let's see here. All right. We might be able to mediate some of this noise by going into enhancements and setting, within the enhancements, setting a bilateral filter. Let's try that. Let's set the radius to a little bit higher than 1.02. This might make it worse. 1.38. Oh, that's not so bad. If we turn it off, what do we got? Alright, well, doesn't look different. That's pretty. So, when we take pictures up there in the upper right, you see this is our camera control panel. Alright. Obviously, that's the telescope in the building, and above that is the telescope control system. This is the telescope computer. We can see into right there what it's doing. And then in the camera control, I've often said the most important things are the exposure time, which is 60 seconds here. But then there's gain. The gain is usually, it's like the ISO settings, the sensitivity settings in the camera. And you've had film, when you did film cameras and digital cameras, you have 200, 400, 600, 800 ISO. That's the sensitivity, right? The higher the number, the more noise you get. Well, it's not the same kind of relationship where it's like there is no 800 ISO here. The gain goes to 570, from 0 to 570. So it's like going from like 100 speed film to like 57,000 ISO, basically, something along that line, when you go from 0 to 570. And the 570 doesn't relate to 57,000 as far as I know, but it could. And because having experience with taking such photos, it looks to be like a gain of 250. It sort of looks like 25,000 ISO shots I've taken, but it has less noise in general. So it's more sensitive, but with less noise. So it's not the same, but it's sort of a kind of a rough setting. So right now we're at what might be, say, 45,000 ISO on a regular camera. And we have a big 10-inch light bucket that has a very, very fast photographic speed. We're running at f2. And if you know anything about cameras, you know f2 means a wide open lens, almost the full opening of the lens is being used to admit light. You're not stopping down and making a tiny little opening like f22 does, for instance, or f8, which is what this telescope was originally, an f8 telescope. We modified it to be an f2 telescope, 25 times faster than the f8 photographically. So that's pretty straightforward in terms of the new capabilities. Seven stacked here. Let's try zooming in. See what 450 gain does. Let's go to 75%. And we'll head up to these stars.
That's interesting.
Yeah, it does, doesn't it? A little modeling here from the telescope data, I should say.
Yeah,
That's interesting.
there in the middle. I mean, that's sort of like reminds me of what we see around M78 and stuff like that over in Orion.
Yeah. You'll notice this is kind of reddish brown. This is blue. This is dust scattering the light from these stars. This might be a little H2 region, that is ionized hydrogen around here. Now, there's hydrogen mixed in with dust all throughout the universe. But depending on how much there is, then you might see that the dust overwhelms, with its scattering, it might overwhelm a hydrogen region. But that's not all that's going on. You know, there's sometimes you have strict hydrogen regions and strict dust regions. Okay, for instance, we see a lot of dust down in this region here. Like, this is a dust cloud for sure. See it? Right there. That's a beautiful little dust cloud. And if we just go down and, you know, make it a little bit more centered. Okay, that's a beautiful dust cloud right there. Hanging out in space. It's several light years long. You know, we could be inside a giant dust cloud like that and not even know it. Might not even know it.
I saw some vid a while back that talked about something of the sort, that
Yeah.
what's going on in our neighborhood, and that we might be in a dust cloud or around, near or in a region of nebulosity.
Mm-hmm. Amazing. It could be.
On how I hadn't seen chat move in a while, I was wondering if we put you all to sleep or if chat quit working. Bonnie,
Well,
that is.
maybe everybody left. No, not true.
Well,
They're just
hopefully
watching.
Not. Just hope everything's okay.
This is nice. Okay, this is 10 stack. That's good. We're going to stop there. Okay, we're going to pause this. And then we'll save the stack. All right. And again, this is where we are. And we're going to save exactly as seen. Okay. And then we'll get out of the stack. All right, and we'll be back to this. It'll start uploading to our server soon. Okay, and this is gonna be 1 second exposure. All right, and then we'll just do our hybrid view so we can actually see it intensified.
Excuse me, just a second.
Okay. All right, let's go back to this. Zoom out. Did you guys get a chance to see the mosaic I did of the M78 region? Actually, you haven't. You only saw the PNG file version, which wasn't balanced or anything. Izabela's taking notes, Ronald. Okay, and this is the Orion Nebula. What we're going to do is we're going to actually zip over there. And I'm going to go to like 0.5 degree per second here. And move east. Okay. we're heading to the Orion region. We're going to be looking a little bit south of Orion. Okay, if we have time, we'll check out more of Orion. All right. So now we'll head east. Okay. There's our Orion Nebula coming in. Need to get a drink.
Me too.
Okay, now I can come in here. Jeez. Sorry.
I've already lost Orion at its best from my location. I was out looking about 6:30 tonight, and Orion is already pretty close to the meridian, and
Yeah.
it's dropping well off in the west now. Going to be gone till next
Okay.
year before you know it.
Yeah, I know. Let me just check out the focus here. Okay, focus looks good. Alright, you guys are gonna have to excuse me for a second so I can go get a drink. But I'm gonna not go until I start this. What the heck is that? Okay. I thought I found a black hole, but I didn't. Alright, now that we have a guide star, we're gonna do a 60-second shot of the Orion Nebula, just to show you all the amazing tendrils of dust sitting around the Orion Nebula.
You want to turn your gain down first?
No, I'm gonna leave it at 450 actually.
Okay.
Yep, this is a special approach to trying to get more dust in the view. I didn't have that gain. I did it at 250, 350. Now I'm doing it at 450.
Okay.
So we'll see. All right, let me be right back. I can grab a drink.
Very good. I was reading something interesting today, folks. Well, I saw a video on YouTube. It was about black holes and white holes and the Big Bang. And I went and looked up the wiki article on white holes, and they got farther into it, a little more scholarly than the video was. And kind of makes you think that I sort of always understood that the Big Bang could be interpreted as a white hole, and this was talking specifically about the Big Bang being a white hole and some of the ramifications of that in the wiki article. And it's like you could in some ways look at a white hole as being at a black hole running backwards in time. And it got kind of heavy. I need to go back and read it again and think on it. Pretty cool stuff, though.
Neato.
And they were saying in both the video and the wiki article that they're thinking now that some of the gamma ray bursts we detect could theoretically be white holes. There was one gamma ray burst in particular they talk about in the video. I'd have to see if I can find it and post it for you. They saw a gamma ray burst a while back, and most gamma ray bursts come and go in like a matter of a few seconds. And this one huge gamma ray burst went on for, I forget, it was like 100 some odd seconds, about 2 minutes or something like that. And something about it made them think that might be a white hole in action.
Wow. Now you see why I did this now at 450? If you notice, this is actually, it's just filled with dust. And you get a better feel for how the dust is laid out. This dust down here is literally just completely taking over this region. And the 13th pearl is right at the very edge down here. Right, see right there? Down the bottom, my arrow's over here. There it is. Get away there. Okay. And there's that reflection nebulae. But look at all this. Now that you know we're in the Orion Nebula, let me just pop that away. Get out of there. Look at that. That's cool. Boy, you know, that makes me want to do a mosaic. I'm just not, it doesn't, it's like I'm not happy anymore with just a single picture, it seems. But I'll, there we go. That's really something. Here's the 13th pearl right there. You can't, it's sort of right there. It's like just going off the frame, and then you got these beautiful blue reflection nebulae that actually are part of it behind more of the dust. Yes, Izabela, I like the this type of music. And she says the Arabian Nights music.
That YouTube link I just posted is the video I mentioned talking about black holes and white holes and the Big Bang. It's an interesting video. It relates to what that Wikipedia article talks about too. Look at it later, of course. It is really interesting.
What do you think about this dust, Daryl? Lots of light, lots of smog, lots of pollution out there in the universe.
Yeah. Lots of dust. I think the nebula is overexposed.
Well, of course it is. But I can't see the dust without doing that. That's what I want to capture, is the dust.
I understand.
It's one or the other, unfortunately. Human eye doesn't work that way, but cameras, unfortunately, do. Let's see if we can, darken up the background a little. Might be a lot. Too much. This might be better. How about that? Alright, what do we got? Wow. amazing to think it just how much dust there is out in the universe. Orion, of course, is part of the Orion molecular cloud complex, and this dust is full of these amazing spindles of dust that actually have, in some cases, many cases, coatings of different types of ices on them. You know, methanol, H2O, carbon dioxide, or formaldehyde, and more. And they get driven off by the ultraviolet light from stars and form the slurry of planet-building products and star-building products out there. Mixed into all this dust, of course, is hydrogen gas. And so when a star forms, it's primarily the hydrogen gas, which is being attracted because it's one singular atom, a single proton and a single electron. It's the lightest of the atoms, so it's the most subject to gravity. So it would tend to coalesce first and tend to be attracted first in a gravitational situation. So that's why we have stars the way they do. And I actually got a question the other day, is why is everything spherical in the universe? And the answer is because in the absence of forces otherwise, the universe tends to a sphere. Objects tend to collect into a spherical grouping. You know, there's asteroids that are rubble piles. Now, except for the fact that some of them are jagged, and when they come together, they can't just merge into a perfect sphere. When they're smaller, you have asteroids which are just collections of rubble that just mutually coalesced. There's nothing holding them together. And that's why sending an asteroid buster satellite up there to destroy them wouldn't work. That would just send tons and tons of particles and giant shards of asteroid down on the Earth, just in a big sheet rather than an asteroid. So that's kind of interesting.
It's gravity.
What?
It's gravity.
Yeah. Yes.
You know, things tend to pull together and make spheres. And you see big enough asteroids like Ceres, CERES, it's pretty much spherical.
It is, and that's because above a certain size, then the asteroid can't hold a craggy shape. You know, some of them are just collisionally created, where they were probably small spherical objects that ended up colliding with something else and became, destroyed pieces. That's in some cases. In other cases, they coalesced from other objects and eventually got coated with dust and everything, and that bonded together in the deep cold of space. And so there's voids in some of these asteroids. You know? Okay, let's get out of this.
And as objects get big enough, they tend to grow spheroidal, I guess is the word, and that's what differentiation happens also, where they'll start making layers that the heaviest elements move toward the middle, and then you start getting layers in the asteroids or the planets or whatever. That's why the Earth has an iron core.
Yeah, and actually all the radioactive elements head toward the core as well.
Yeah.
But that's why we have a core that's so hot, is primarily because of radioactive elements. There is heat from original formation. Even 4.5 billion years later, there's still heat from original formation that's in there in the core. But it really is the radioactive elements, predominantly the heaviest ones, as Daryl had said, that migrate to the core during this differentiation process. It doesn't happen when the Earth is solid. It happens when the Earth is molten. Yep. And that's when differentiation happens. It's like dropping pebbles into water. They sink to the bottom, right? But you drop them on cement, and they just stay at the top. They don't sink to the bottom. They will if it's a big enough rock that can start to sink into the concrete, right? So that's kind of how differentiation works. If it's lighter or smaller, it will not go down into the material. But if it's molten, it will. And because there's lots of turbulence and mixing, that's why we still have heavy elements in our crust, like gold. But it's also why it shows up in veins rather than just giant fields of gold. It's because of the fact that the gold is mixed up from the other areas inside the planet that's differentiating, and it makes strings of material. And if Ronald's still here, he's going, "Did somebody say gold?" All right.
Yeah. Way ahead of you.
Oh, why? Did you
Carry
say
on.
it?
I'm sorry.
Oh, did you already say it?
I was thinking it.
Oh, okay. All right, let's all right, we save this. Let's now I did save it, right? I think I did. I'm gonna do it again.
Sorry.
I'm better safe than sorry. That's right.
Well, if I could add on to that
You go
from
ahead.
an ex-miner's point of view, we were there for a reason. We were there digging certain elements. Gold was there, but molybdenum was what we were after. There was also lead, there was silver, there was tin, there were sulfites, there was all sorts of stuff in there. But when you were down underground and you shined your headlamp on the rock wall, well, you could see the veins running through the rock of the various minerals. And they tended to percolate up around fault lines going through the rock, and we saw big fault lines underground. It wasn't an accident that where those fault lines were is where the ground was the worst, that is, it was the least stable, but that's also where the richest ores were. And a lot of times those ores came up in suspension in water and stuff, or as molten rock. Sometimes it followed as water, sometimes as molten rock. Long time ago, it followed those fault lines, and that's what laid the ore veins down. And you could actually see those in the rock underground.
Mm-hmm. That's very cool. Did you ever see gold when you were down there?
A little bit.
Okay.
I've said before that the company said they were not in the business of mining gold. The actual miners, the guys who did the real drilling and digging and shooting and all that stuff, miners being what miners are, if they hit a gold vein, well, the mine was planned by the mining engineers that you're supposed to drill certain tunnels here and here, and you're supposed to go that direction. And it was very precisely laid out. And well, if the miners hit a gold vein, instead of following the engineers' directions, all of a sudden the tunnel would start veering off to the side, because miners being miners, they started following the gold vein instead. And the company, because they would say they were not in the gold business, they would bring in a management crew and run all the hourly employees out of the area. They would come in and build concrete forms, and they would wall off those gold veins where they couldn't be got at anymore, and tell the miners to get back to work and follow the directions. But there were always rumors up there that up in the mills, the processing areas above ground, that way back in the back behind locked doors, they had a gold flotation table running. And it was just incidental, but that they were harvesting gold up there. There were
Those
just
sons of guns.
Just on the other side of the mountains, of the mountain range where we were historic gold fields up there in the Colorado Mineral Belt, over in the Alma area, Fairplay, Alma, and Breckenridge, and places like that, where there were, active gold mines back in the day. And if it was on that side of the mountain, it was on our side of the mountain too.
Wow. Okay, what we've done is we've moved south of the Orion Nebula to take in the next panoramic view of the beautiful, dark, dusty area that is the stuff that planets and stars are made of. These phenomena are the most cool objects that you can see in the universe because they're everywhere and they are the seat of life. Wow.
W13 just brings up, I think I sent you the
about
video.
Mars?
Yeah, about Mars and what happened to its magnetosphere.
Yeah. That's actually cool.
It was an Anton Petrov video. Izabela's a big fan of Anton Petrov. He is Bulgarian, I believe.
And so is she.
Yep.
Izabela, you should call him up and invite him out to dinner.
He lives in Korea, I think.
Don't invite him out to dinner.
Unless you like Korean food. W13 asked a question a little while ago, too. I might take a shot at it if you don't mind.
I didn't know what he was.
Would spaghettification really rip your shoes off, or would you not feel it because you're living inside the space-time distortion? W13, that depends on the size of the black hole. Smaller black holes are actually more dangerous in that regard of spaghettification, that the gradient in the gravitational attraction of the black hole has a steeper gradient, and it would be more likely to rip you to pieces as you approach the black hole, or spaghettify you, as the saying goes.
Your foot would start, like if your left foot was close to it, your left foot would just be shredded. And you'd be going, ah! And then, maybe it would work its way up your leg unless you pulled your leg away in time. That would be really painful. But
actually, for really
that
big
wouldn't
black
happen in
holes,
reality.
For really big black holes, the gradient is more gradual. And they say that you could actually survive falling through the event horizon of a really big black hole. That just the gradient is so gradual that the tidal forces won't tear you apart. Then, anyway.
How about this, Daryl?
What?
I was going to say, how about this? I mean, what if we're in a giant black hole?
I was getting to that. I have seen speculation that, people say that a black hole, its density is infinite, but that's actually just the singularity at the center of the black hole. And especially if you're inside a really big black hole, though inside the event horizon, but not at the singularity, that the density is not infinite, and that you could actually exist inside the black hole. And some study carried it to an extreme case, and they plugged in the estimated mass of the universe as the mass of the black hole, and it turned out that the event horizon was inside the event horizon was remarkably similar to our universe.
And that would put us at a the cosmic microwave background then would be the last. I mean, we still wouldn't see the whole universe, but the cosmic microwave background is literally just a fraction of the distance to the event horizon of the actual black hole.
Okay. And that's one of the reasons that whole thing about the white holes I mentioned earlier I found so fascinating. It gets kind of deep in the wiki article, but white holes and black holes, and one sort of being the other side of the other, they start getting into bubble universes and small bangs instead of big bangs, and pocket dimensions and things like that. that could actually be what is causing what we think of now as dark matter and dark energy. Some really interesting ramifications to think about.
My personal feeling is that, and I've mentioned this before, the universe doesn't have enough mass to have created a potential Big Bang. So maybe we are, as I mentioned on our show, a little pop off of a great, much bigger bang, a little spurt.
Yep, and that's what they call small bangs in that article.
Yeah. Okay.
As opposed to the Big Bang. And like that gamma ray burst I mentioned earlier, it was a titanic event, whatever it was, because anything that's going to release gamma ray bursts, by definition, you're talking huge energy releases. But maybe in the context of the larger universe, that was a small bang happening.
Maybe, yeah. Maybe. We don't know what gamma ray bursts actually are at this point, but we just suspect they are related to potential like quasars and things like that. But I think that if we talk about black holes and so forth, it's such an esoteric concept because it's hard for people to actually get their arms around the concept of a black hole. Yet we see one in the Virgo galaxy, Messier 87, and we will not image the black hole, but we'll image M87 when Virgo is up. And that galaxy, I think it's like 44 million light years away. And like we're seeing this black hole, and the theoretical structure that was imagined based on relativity for the black hole was exactly what was seen. And I thought that was amazing success. But because we theoretically deduced what it should look like, the naysayers said that's fake because they figured it out ahead of time, and they just, how do we know that's real? They just faked it. It's like, you know what? You can lead a horse to water, but you cannot make them drink.
Yeah.
But sometimes when they do drink, they drown, and that's, there are people that think they know too much, and those people are the ones that you'll never convince otherwise. Don't bother me with the facts. I've already made up my mind.
Yeah.
So.
Well, we have imaged M87 before, and
yes,
we have actually seen the jet, which is being shot out of the galaxy from the neighborhood of the black hole.
Yep.
And we actually caught that with a 10-inch telescope. Yay.
That's right. Yep. And in fact, we'll do it again.
Oh, I hope so.
Yeah. The recent burst was 11 billion light years away. W13, I think, is weird guy. I think he's spelling weird. Weird guy.
Well,
I think that's what he's spelling there.
I've always wondered that myself, but I mean, weird is W-E-I, not W-I-E.
Don't tell him that.
That's why I call him W13.
Mm-hmm.
If you're going by the old I before E except after C, yeah, but
yes.
E, E then I is one of the exceptions to the rule, and words like weird and others. English is such a wonderful language.
It's the hardest language to learn. So 11 billion light years away. I mean, if you think about it, first of all, light falls off as the square of the distance, meaning that the strength of the light falls off as the square of the distance. So light that travels a distance of, say, 4 light years from one position is going to be 16 times fainter than it was at the start. Okay, so that square, that's called the inverse square law. And so if you think about a gamma ray burst coming from a long distance galaxy, and we still see it, you got to understand that we're actually multiplying the signal sometimes millions of times to actually see it. You know, so that's why the detectors have to be so specialized, so sensitive, so isolated from every other noise. That's important. Fast radio bursts, when they get here, they last milliseconds, all right? But these fast radio bursts, when we hear them, I say hear them, they're not sound in space, but we translate them sometimes to sound. And they go zip, and they're very fast, they last just milliseconds. They have traveled, as you know, sometimes 10 billion light years. And they still get here, and we can still see the energy that strikes the planet from these fast radio bursts. And we think they're caused by magnetars, which are extremely highly magnetic neutron stars, which are the remnants of a supernova, of a massive star. And magnetars have a really weird atmosphere around them, okay, just like neutron stars do in general. You know, all these dead stars have sort of an interesting atmosphere that is, gas that's over their surfaces. And so it looks like the magnetars form this weird resonance with a burst from the surface where it's actually magnified by the magnetic fields and by the atmosphere around the magnetar. And it literally amplifies it a tremendous amount, and it's a resonant pulse that just pushes out at this incredible energy level, far higher than the original pulse. And so that's why they think we see these.
Are they cosmic redshifted, though? I would have to guess
Well,
they are if they're so far away.
Well, the fact is, though, that we're looking at the continuous light coming from galaxies as they move away. So even these bursts are going to have some form of shift to them. However, there's something else going on in these bursts that are very important, and that's the structure of the burst when it arrives. The structure of the burst is something called, or it has something, a characteristic called dispersion. And the dispersion of these bursts will actually take and draw out different frequencies in different ways. So that the way the burst arrives, the construction of the pulse will look differently depending on what that pulse passed through on its way here. And it's through fast radio bursts that we discovered that what's between galaxies isn't all a bunch of nothing. There's some very specific stuff between galaxies that when these fast radio burst pulses pass through them, they leave telltale characteristics within the pulse that say, hey, I just passed through this cloud of interstellar diatomic hydrogen or something like that. And it's how we learn that there's it's how we learn that there's a lot of additional mass in between galaxies out there.
Yeah. Is this like an absorption spectrum line?
It's actually it's actually a dispersion of the beam. It's actually think of it as a stretching, a differential stretching depending on the frequencies affected. So it's not like an absorption line. It's more of a dispersion occurs across the entire pulse. It's not just one place within the pulse, it's across the entire pulse. And that dispersion is affecting different frequencies in a slightly different way. So it's not really an absorption line. But these dispersed FRBs, fast radio bursts, have taught us an awful lot about the extragalactic medium, the space between galaxies. Okay, we're going to stop this here.
If these gamma ray bursts are happening so far away, are they cosmically redshifted? I mean, gamma ray bursts about as violent and energetic
far away as you can get.
As you know, as they get. So what the heck were they when it was up close to them?
Yeah, was it entirely at a higher, even higher in the spectrum that we may know?
Right. What's past gamma rays?
Yeah, well, higher frequency gamma rays.
Right.
So that was what I was getting with too, on the show the other night about not knowing the full spectrum and not having access to the full spectrum. We don't have ways to measure every place in the spectrum. That's why James Webb is looking out in the infrared, for instance, where we've never seen before.
Yeah.
Okay, this is done here, so I'm going to move. I'm actually going to go to the right. I'm going to move this star over there, and we're going to go to the right this time. All right. I saved it. We did the Orion Nebula, then we did below the Orion Nebula. Now we're going to go to the right of the Orion Nebula, and then above the Orion Nebula again. So, so we're going to actually go back to a panorama once again because I like panos. And that'll be that.
Well, there's been a story in the news recently about they've seen two ultramassive black holes in a death spiral around each other. And
about to collide? Yes.
But in a cosmic sense, and it may not happen, from our point of view as humans, that it may not happen next week. It may be years or centuries from now.
Yeah.
They were making a big deal about it. And who knows? Maybe it'll happen and they'll see it with the Leo and the Virgo.
Yeah. See, we want a really exciting, astronomical phenomenon, So I want to see Betelgeuse explode.
Oh.
I know you want to see like the Thor's helmet, Wolf-Rayet star go off or whatever, but I just would like to see Betelgeuse really just go boom. Can you imagine how beautiful that would be?
Well, yeah, of course. I'm a traditionalist. I'd hate to see Orion change, but I realize, everything changes, and it would be spectacular, and it would probably look cooler after Betelgeuse blows up than it does now. I just hate to see, Orion get changed forever. But, it happens, and I'm sure I would marvel at it as much as anybody would. And I would wonder, what kind of ramifications that could have for society at large. And if they saw something like that happen that nobody has seen really since the invention of the telescope, is a supernova at a relatively close distance. And that could be one of those things that, could that really shake up humanity a little bit?
I think you're giving humanity too much credit. I don't think so. I think that, the Chinese in 1054, they saw the Crab Nebula pop. And, of course, they didn't know what it was back then. They had no idea. It was just a new star in the heavens and seen in the daytime. But, it was actually a... sorry, I just yawned, guys. But they actually had a interesting take on it, right, culturally. But the thing is, if we saw it now, we would have 1,000 telescopes a night looking at this. And if we see Betelgeuse go off, we'd be staying up late just to wait for it, you know.
Oh, yeah.
We got ourselves a Tumbler.
Uh-huh.
Yep, there's a Tumbler.
You look like there's some more to the left that almost are in line with it. There's a row of farther to the left. There's a row of 4 dots and a row of 4 or 5 dots. Another row of 4 dots. They're on very slightly different line, but I wonder if it's because, you know, we're up there in that place in the sky in Orion where we see lots of satellites pass through.
Yeah, well, we know that we get a lot of geostationary ones.
Yeah.
And the geostationary ones will actually look like tiny dashes. Let's see how this continues now.
Yeah. Pardon me for just a moment.
Okay, so we got more there. So you guys enjoying yourself tonight? Not much else to do tonight, huh? Shay says, maybe the universe thoughts are happening instant and multiplexed, and we think what we thought. Okay, I didn't quite get that. Sorry about that. Maybe you can try to explain that better. All right, welcome back.
Explain what?
I was talking about a comment in the chat. And Kyle Lynch is here. Yeah, we caught a satellite. There it is. Now, as they go on, you see this is like a tumbler. This is a really cool image of a telescope rocket body out there. And I go like this. I basically use this as this little chapstick as a example. When it's facing us like this, you see it. When it does this, you don't really. Okay, let's use this end here. Let's just make it more obvious. It's going through space. As it goes like this, it becomes less visible. Then it's invisible for a moment. Then it becomes visible again. It's a tumbling rocket body like this, or any which way, you know. And so it makes a bright dot that fades away to darkness and makes a bright dot again. That's what you're seeing right there, all the way through here. A little tumbling rocket body. Now, based on the length of that trail, for each 60-second exposure, we can tell you how high it's actually orbiting and what it may actually be. And how fast it's tumbling, because we can just calculate how many tumbles per minute we're seeing, because we're doing 60-second exposures.
May I give another example of what we were talking about a couple of minutes ago of maybe, you know, celestial events that have made an impression on humanity?
Sure.
When Shoemaker Levy 9 hit Jupiter.
Oh, yes.
Now, you know, that didn't change people's lives, but I think it made some impact on society and on the scientific community in particular. There are videos out there on YouTube. If you were to do a search, it's like asteroid discoveries 1980 to 2010. And there are updated versions that go 1980 to 2016 and stuff like that. Scott Manley has done one. There are other ones out there. And it is not a coincidence that, well, Shoemaker Levy hit Jupiter, 94, 95, whenever that was. And if you watch those videos, well, all of a sudden that was a wake-up call, at least in the scientific community. And if you watch these videos, you will see that the rate of asteroid discovery went up by many magnitudes after Shoemaker-Levy happened. Like if you see early in the video, here's 1980, and you'll see a little pop, 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 and the diagram is they discover an asteroid occasionally. And after the mid-90s, after Shoemaker-Levy, all of a sudden they start finding asteroids by the thousands because they learn to watch for them. And techniques improved and all. As far as culture at large, the impact that this had, well, all the movies now like Armageddon and all of them, the one with Morgan Freeman was president, and the asteroid's going to hit the Earth or the comet's going to hit the Earth, and there's been 1,000 movies like that here in recent decades, and that has made an impression on people, and it scares some people.
Well, I think that's true, and keep in mind that the U.S. government has something called the Sentry list, which they might maintain. The Sentry list is a list of all potential dangerous asteroids to the Earth, but also keep in mind that over time, most of the entries on the Sentry list get removed because we get their orbital elements, that is, the orbital characteristics that define how they orbit. And we can refine them better, and once we refine them, we can see that they will never pose a danger, so they're removed from the Sentry list. And that's actually for when they're actually how they're orbiting now. But what it doesn't take into account is the random chance of collision between asteroids. Now, as many asteroids as there are out there, right, and there are millions overall, the total mass that they add up to is only literally all the asteroids out there add up to a mass about a fourth of the sun, a fourth of the moon.
Yep.
Okay, about a quarter of the moon's mass is what the asteroids in our solar system actually come in at. All right, so that's pretty incredible to think that that's really all we're looking at. Okay, but so many of them are really small. Many of them are actually very small. However, there are some big ones, and the big ones are the ones that we worry about. And there are some objects that are actually in our solar system that are in highly elliptical orbits, not out the asteroid belt. Because the asteroids out in the asteroid belt really aren't a problem for us because of the fact that they're orbiting around the sun very far away. It's the asteroids that are near Earth asteroids, NEOs. And these NEOs are actually more dangerous to us than the others. And currently, Earth has actually captured an asteroid. We have a second moon right now. And it's on a really odd orbit. But you'll never see it. It's only a few meters across, if I remember. And it's just here temporarily. It's in a temporary orbit. It'll eventually get whipped out and moved along. Yeah. Right now, it's still here. Pretty cool.
Yeah. If you watch those asteroid discovery videos, you will see most of them are, I forget, yellow or green, little dots rotating around the plane of the solar system. But you will see some that are red. And if I remember correctly, the red ones portray Earth-crossing asteroids. And as the rate of discovery of the asteroids increases sharply, so does the rate of discovery of the Earth-crossing asteroids. By the time you get to the end of the video, it looks like a swarm of flies with Earth flying through them. And that's kind of scary. The other side of the coin, though, is besides asteroids, well, there's comets. Just like Shoemaker-Levy that hit Jupiter was a comet. It broke into 20 pieces or something. And here we've had the recent news that there's this huge comet on its way in. It's never going to get that close to the sun. And I forget, when's it supposed to be closest? 2031 or something like that? But, the comets are the wild cards because they're going to show up on their own timetable, and we won't know it until we discover them.
Yeah, and then we have to figure out what their orbit is.
Yep.
Now, surrounding the solar system is this giant cloud of icy bodies, some tiny, some large. And it's a spherical cloud around our solar system. And that's called the OORT cloud, OORT. And the OORT cloud is traditionally what's been called the realm of the comets. It's where the comets come from, according to original astronomy thought. Now, that's possible. However, for something that far out to get into where we are will take millions of years. So it takes time for something like that to pass into the inner solar system. Then it would take a lot of time for it to possibly even get close enough to hit us. So there's a lot of reason to suspect that, maybe if comets are that far out, if there are comets out, or that are going to be coming to us from the outer solar system, from the Oort cloud, that maybe there's another source of comets. And in fact, there are. We know of there's other comets that actually come in that are in orbits within our solar system. They go out to maybe Neptune or Saturn or Uranus, and then they come in, and they're highly elliptical orbits. Some of them, some of these bodies are known as scattered disk objects. Okay, these are SDOs, and these are out around Neptune. And when they come in, they might be on a hyperbolic orbit after interactions with Jupiter and other planets. And hyperbolic orbits will take them out of the solar system. Those are wild cards. We don't know what they're going to do. So after we find them, we would have to then actually figure out what we call their orbital elements. Every little characteristic is an element of the orbit, and they all add up together to give us the actual shape, the path they're going to take. Once we know the path they're going to take, those elements will then be used to figure out where they'll be in 10 years, 100 years, 1,000 years. And you run through the calculations, and that's they go right on the Sentry list, the thing I told you about that's maintained by the government. And then after on the Sentry list, they will end up making their way either to a short list of dangerous objects or to a wastebasket because they don't belong on the list anymore. The Sentry list can be seen online. If you look up Sentry list dangerous asteroids, you'll find the list. And you'll see that there's really only 2 or 3 that are actually dangerous. Apophis, you might have remembered Apophis was one that was theoretically supposed to be dangerous. And later analysis of Apophis showed that in fact it wasn't a danger.
Yeah. Oh, it's interesting to think about. And I've talked before about past celestial events and what impact they had on humanity and how they may have survived down through the ages in myth and religion. I've talked about the Tel Aman event and the Abu Huraira event in Syria, which were postulated to be part of the Younger Dryas impacts and the effects they've had on cultures and populations around the world.
That's right. That's right.
And
Izabela has a question I want to take a stab at here.
Okay.
Finish. I'm sorry, Daryl. Go ahead.
No, go ahead. I'm done. What are we looking at there?
I finished the 3rd exposure. Now I'm on the 4th one with the Orion Nebula to the upper left.
Okay.
I went to the right this time and did it that way. Izabela says, how did they figure out that Oumuamua was an extra solar system object that is out of the solar system? Well, number one was the path. Okay, when it came into the solar system, it came in from an angle that wasn't along any of the ecliptic spots, ecliptic entry points that we've seen before. It was really, really high up, and that high up, that high up, it meant that it was coming from somewhere in a spot that we don't recognize anything orbiting from up there. I mean, only objects in the Oort cloud might come in from there. But Oumuamua was actually moving also at a rate that was. It was moving at a rate that was going to take it into our solar system and out of our solar system. So it looked like basically a hitchhiker coming in, saying hi, and heading out. But it came in from very, very high elevation, solar system-wise. So that's how we knew. And it was moving at quite a clip, unlike anything else in the solar system would. It already had momentum of its own when it came through.
And
that was for
came in
Izabela
at
who asked the question.
Came in at a high inclination and was moving really
Yes.
fast on a hyperbolic path, if I remember correctly.
So
So it came in and it left, and its path and its trajectory and its speed said that it ain't coming back. It's heading back out into space.
that's right. And actually, that's interesting because we actually didn't see it until it actually got past us.
Uh-huh.
I mean, it was like 700 feet by 70 feet. You know, it's like a, but it was like a 70-foot diameter, say 700-foot diameter pancake that was only 70 feet thick. And that's what prompted Avi Loeb at Harvard to suggest that maybe this was a solar sail from another technological civilization.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, as I look
Right.
at that image, I see lines of stars again all over the place.
I knew you were going to say that, like right here.
Yep.
Right there, yeah.
They're
Yeah,
all over
down
the thing when
here.
you look for it. I mean,
Yeah,
is that
right
real?
there.
Is it just pareidolia?
I don't know. I think maybe you probably used too much graph paper in your life and you had all those lines.
Oh, is
So
that
you
what
see
it was?
lines everywhere.
Yeah. Too much LDS in the 60s.
Ah, that's funny. That was a Shatner line, right? From The Voyage Home.
Yes.
Too much LDS.
In the 60s.
Was in this? Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Was that him? Like, was that when somebody said something about Spock?
Yeah, they were Catherine Hicks and
It's on the
Shatner
bus, right?
and Nimoy. They were all sitting in her pickup truck, and
Okay, yeah.
at that point, Spock still had that rag around his head, so she couldn't see his pointed ears. And he said something really off the wall, and I forget what she said, but her reaction to what Spock did made Kirk say that. Too much LDS in the 60s.
I think she corrected him.
I think she gave him a weird look.
Yeah. Yes, and OG Skywatch.
Yeah.
Colorful epithets. Those colorful
metaphors.
epithets. I think he said epithets, right?
I think he said metaphors.
Okay. I thought it was epithets.
Is it time? That was Spock, wasn't it? Is it time
Yes.
for another colorful metaphor?
Okay.
Well, see, that's the joke, OG. He meant LSD, but what he said was LDS.
Trying to sound like he knew what the what it was when he was certainly so far into the future he had no idea. And he
Yeah.
was trying to fit in, and of course he did it clumsily.
Is it time for another colorful metaphor?
That's right. I can't remember that. Is it time for another colorful metaphor, Captain? Yeah, Nimoy was funny in that movie.
Yeah.
See, what that says to me is, see, when I saw them like walking around in like modern Los Angeles or whatever, it was like, okay, yeah, they're running out of money. In San Francisco. Yeah, they're running out of money. Whenever they go to modern sets, okay, when it's science fiction, it's running out of money.
Yep.
You know, and it's like, well, this ain't gonna be too good. What about my whales? Captain, that'd be whales here. Yeah. We gotta rescue the humpbacks, Scotty. Humpbacks? Humpback? People? Remember?
Kirk went to the pawn shop and they pawned his antique spectacles.
Yeah.
To get some money.
I don't remember that.
Oh yeah, at the opening of the book. What book was he reading at the opening? It was an old print book, and
it was a Moby Dick, wasn't it?
Moby Dick was the Wrath of Khan. Maybe it was the best of time, Tale of Two Cities. Best of times, the worst of times. I forget. I'd have to look that up. But no, early in the movie, he's trying to read, and Bones had given Kirk a pair of antique spectacles for Christmas because the retinol 5 or whatever the drug was called didn't work for Kirk's eyes, and he was getting where he needed glasses to read. That's McCoy gave him the glasses, and then he used them at the pawn shop later to make some money so they could have money to spend.
You know, you got a real Star Trek fan out there. OG is telling you it's best of times, worst of times was a present from Spock.
Yes, that's right. That was A Tale of Two Cities by Dickens, and that was the book from Spock for his birthday present.
Yeah. And they were in modern San Francisco, and Kirk was in reading in his apartment when Bones came over, right?
Yes.
Yeah. And he came over like Saurian brandy or something. I thought that movie was just full of too much overacting, and this time not on Shatner's part.
Everybody hammed it up in Star Trek 4.
Yeah.
I think they didn't take themselves too seriously in that movie.
One of the funny scenes was it Scotty when the ship was cloaked, the Klingon ship was cloaked. He goes walking right into a beam, bong, hits his head. I mean, the first Star Trek movie, he did that as well, right? He basically said, "I know my way around this ship," and he walked right into an overhead beam and fell and got knocked out. And it wasn't cloaked. That was hilarious.
So this is the fourth image in a mosaic you're doing?
Yes.
You just hit 11.
I know. I did 12 in the last one. It doesn't matter how many you stack, as long as you basically correct for the brightness, you're fine. So I'm going to pause this. All right.
Donald says that was Star Trek 5, which I disagree with. Star Trek 5 is the only Star Trek movie I ever got up and walked out on. That was such a ridiculous movie, I couldn't take it. I got about
Is that
halfway
the
through
Undiscovered
it.
Country?
No, Star Trek 5, The Final Frontier, I think they called it. It was the one that Shatner directed. It was a stupid movie. It was on a low budget. That was where they were in Yosemite, and Spock flew up in his anti-gravity boots while Kirk was climbing El Capitan or whatever it was in Yosemite.
Yeah.
His anti-gravity boots were just a pair of Scott ski boots. It was obvious, and that whole movie just rubbed me the wrong way. I got up about halfway through it and walked out. That was the one where God was the bad guy in the movie, I guess, or he thought he was
I
God,
remember that.
something of the sort. Yeah, Spock's brother was
It was
involved.
Spark's brother, the old guy. I can't remember the old Vulcan. I forget his name. And he basically told him, we got to go there. And all it was they're trying to... This creature wanted him to release him, and he was a prisoner.
Yeah.
Trying to break him out. Yeah, I actually thought it was kind of...
And he was purporting to be God, if I remember correctly.
Yeah. Are you God? Wasn't that McCoy or something? And McCoy was, like, taken in by him and...
Well, some of this I'm going on hearsay because I never stayed long enough to see the rest of the movie.
All right, well... But that's heresy, walking out in a Star Trek movie,
Well, it was that bad. Again, that was the one Shatner directed, and I think, they were letting each of them direct a movie. Spock directed one, and Shatner wanted his turn. I thought it was just the hokiest of all the movies, which is really saying a lot, but I got so sick, disgusted with it, that I got up and walked out.
Well, you still gave him your money. You should have just sat through it.
Yeah.
So you could have spent more time criticizing it more from a knowledge base, Okay. How long have we been going? What time is it? Oh, jeez. Okay. All right. I have to be up early tomorrow because I have to continue to fix my pellet stove, which I thought I had fixed. So I don't even have time to do one more, guys. So we'll have to just call it quits at this point. But these images should start going up to... should be up in the database, up in the server in just a short time. And I hope you guys had a good time. I just wanted to get a couple of mosaics done tonight. And it'll be nice to see what they look like. We'll be checking out some more exciting things, and I'll probably do fewer mosaics next time just to make sure that we just get lots of images in. And as galaxy season approaches us, we're gonna have a lot of fun. So, in any case, I hope you guys have a good night, and we are going to say goodnight from the desert. All right. So.
Okay. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, sure. It's been.
Thanks for coming,
fun.
everybody.
Thank you, guys. Good
Night,
night, Gracie. All right, guys. You have a good night, and we will talk to you the next time we stream. All right. I'm getting tired too. I'm probably gonna start yawning. I'll fall asleep and I go, "Oh no, Orion, what?"
Yeah. Oh, you were yawning a while ago.
Son's... Huh?
You were yawning
Yeah,
earlier.
I was.
Yeah. My bedtime's coming up pretty soon too.
Yeah. My youngest son is named Hunter Orion. So you can see that Orion's one of my favorite things, right? It's just a beautiful constellation. All right, guys. Have a good night, and we will see you soon.
Good night, everybody.
There you go.